Hi, RealtyNXT viewers. I'm your host, Kritika Singh Rawat, and on today's episode of Let's Talk Business series, we are diving into the world of real estate with a second generation developer who has an impressive track record of crafting luxury and affordable homes in Thane. Currently, as a partner of Elements Reality, he is revolutionizing luxury living by redeveloping societies in Mumbai's prime and iconic markets. So join me as we sit down with Shyamal Mody, partner at Raunak Group and a driving force at Elements Reality. Thank you, Shyamal, for joining us today on Let's Talk Business series by Realty NXT.
Thank you for having me, Kritika.
So in 2007, I would
Seven.
say you started your journey with Raunak Group, and now we are in 2023 where you're launching Elements Reality.
Yes.
So give us a bit of a journey sneak peek, I would say, because now Raunak Group has been like known in Thane. Because in few years ago, people would not know about Raunak,
True.
but Raunak as a brand has built itself. Wherever people are, or even home buyers, investors want to invest in Thane, they always consider Raunak Group. So tell us a bit about your journey in Raunak Group and what made you also now start with Elements Reality.
So we've actually evolved a lot. You're right, as Ronak. From the time that we started to where we've reached today, we've actually done a massive transformation within ourselves. The buildings that we develop, the way things have moved ahead, and we always used to think we are doing good, right? But it's when you go out of the well and you see what other developers are doing, you feel that, hi, yaar, means kuch to missing hai. I was lucky enough that when I started in 2007 8, uh, I got the sense of the site, understanding what is there, how it's being built, stuff like that. And I was part of the first boom of Lodha, right? Like my biggest
Mm.
inspiration has been the way that brand developed. And I
Mm.
think that changed real estate, right? Coming to
Yeah.
your question where you asked how, okay, what made you join real estate? Because as a field, it was always looked down upon कि builder है, दूर रहना, संभाल के रहना, problem
Yeah.
होता है. I think Lodha was the first builder which
Mm.
became a developer, right? Which came out with marketing campaigns, ads, and in your face saying, boss, this is what we are building, this is what you are getting, and this is how much you are getting for,
Mm.
right? उसके पहले डेवलपर या बिल्डर लोग एडवर्टाइजमेंट नहीं देते थे,
Yeah.
होर्डिंग्स पे नहीं डालते थे, राइट?
Yeah.
एंड लोढ़ा यूज्ड टू पेंट द टाउन विद हिज होर्डिंग्स.
Yeah.
So that was the inspiration saying, यार ये कैसे कर सकता है? Like,
Mm.
what is this and how is it? And when I saw his first launch,
Mm.
and like 2008, it was a big thing. Now, so they do it even grander,
Mm.
and we started copying that, and a lot of people have copied, got inspired, done multiple
Mm.
things. You're like, boss, ऐसे real estate कोई लेता है? Because
Mm.
usually real estate deals क्या होता है, boss? You have your cabins, mini tables, conference rooms, और
Yeah.
deals होते थे,
Mm.
right? किसी को मालूम नहीं पड़ना चाहिए आप किसको क्या बेच रहे हो, and all of those
Mm.
things. To now where the table like we are sitting, उसके बाजू में दूसरा टेबल लगता है, उसके बाजू में दूसरा टेबल लगता है,
Yeah. Yeah.
and people sit and discuss and openly
Mm.
buy a house. So that is what changed my whole perception, right? And I said that we need to up our game as well. We had the land bank. We were always happy with what we were doing,
Mm.
but that one launch that I went and saw, it makes you introspect and makes you realize that, boss, you can do much better. And
Mm.
I think over the last decade or so, we've actually flipped the switch
Mm.
and evolved from selling, I don't know, 30 crore rupees in a year to now hitting a turnover into well over 4 digits, right?
Mm.
Saying that, boss, this can happen, means you can time your launches, get that growth. It is that cyclic movement. Being from Carpenter, Santa Cruz, always wanted to get into redevelopment.
Mm.
Always wanted. My father started it from here. Ronak, as I said, right, when I
Mm.
started with you, saying Ronak is my dad's second innings in life. He used to make buildings in Carpenter, Santa Cruz, because तब तक थाने में तो कुछ होता ही नहीं था, right?
Yeah.
Thane was an industrial town, factories.
Mm.
It was in the 90s that my father moved his base from Carpenter to Thana.
Mm.
Uh, that's when I joined Ronak. Before that, he used to develop, or he has developed about 30, 33 odd buildings in Khar, Bandra, Santa Cruz, and Dheri, right?
Mm.
So it always is home. It has always been home. We moved out. because real estate at that time was very different in Carpenter, Santa Cruz. Subodh Kumar came in, fungible happened, clarity in rules happened. That was the pre-RERA area, right?
Yeah.
This was, I think, the first trigger to RERA coming into play, where definition of an area got clear. कि आपको इतना ही मिलेगा और सब बिल्डिंग्स ऐसे ही बनेंगे, राइट? पहले तो every developer had its own livening forte.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now real estate, hence you see corporates coming in. Livening is a part of it, but जो मुझे मिलता है वो आपको मिलता है, वो किसी और को मिलता है. You can change the design a bit, but FSI has standardized. You cannot cheat in FSI, right? So that came into play. We tied up hands with a friend, did a couple of projects with them. Uh, then we said the next step of evolution is to do it on our own. They said, you know what, we would like to do it on our own. We said, ठीक है यार, we live here. This is what we want to do. Affordable housing we anyways do. It's not that Thane is the only market that we operate under. Raunak, Thane is there, Kalyan is there. We are in Shilfata now. We have explored and gone to Sion as well in Bombay City. We've got a couple of projects within Bombay. Uh, so then we said, you know what, this is all mass or affordable housing. This is that sub 5 crore, 3 crore bracket. We needed to be into that luxury segment as well, because in Thane also we are building from a 30 lakh rupee apartment to a 12 crore rupee apartment, right? We built a project in Thane under the name of Viraj Tower, which is 4,000 square feet on a single floor, two apartments, 4,000, 3,000 square feet. उस जमाने में कोई नहीं बनाता था, राइट? इतने बड़े बिल्डिंग्स थाने में कोई नहीं बनाता था. 1 and 2 bedrooms, 3 बन गया तो बहुत हो गया, और 4 bedroom तो आपको जोड़ी लेना पड़ता था. So we said Pokhran Road will develop into a better state, so we will build luxury. So then we said, why not get into luxury of Carpenter Santa Cruz again, right? Redevelopment is now much more clearer. It is now on your risk appetite. We know the field, we have the expertise, so why not get into redevelopment? Hence the launch of Elements Realty, where we said, खुद ही करना है, but let's segregate the brand. Life becomes easier that way, because under the Raunak brand, it is easier to get a society. But it is also difficult to explain to them, because at times will be like, आप तो affordable बनाते हो, कभी luxury बनाया है? So he said, rather than every time justifying and answering those questions, let's start it as a brand new name and a brand, and say, हम Elements Realty हैं, we are a part of the Raunak family, but this is only a redevelopment. So it's a clean slate, and it is easier to say Elements के नाम पे कुछ नहीं बना है, Raunak के नाम पे बहुत कुछ बना है, rather than justifying why a development is a development irrespective of you putting a tile or a marble. Right? So we said, boss, brand new name, different office, to cut and segregate that, right? The back office remains the same, the expertise remains the same, but you have two segregations into it.
So when it comes to Mumbai real estate, now we are seeing the scarcity of land, right? So that's why there's more players coming in for the redevelopment. And this is where you are launching Elements Reality in a space where so many players are already coming in and already existing. Some are doing, I think, a collaboration, or some are taking standalone buildings and doing the redevelopment on their own. Where do you see Elements Reality differentiate among other players? What's the USP?
So the run of the mill answer would be, our designs are better. This is, okay. I will cut all of that, because the honest answer to that is, right, as you rightly said, a lot of the whole world wants to redevelop, and not just redevelop in micro markets. Khar, Bandra, Santa Cruz, Juhu, Warsaw is now becoming hot, and certain pockets of South Bombay. These are the only 6 pockets where redevelopment makes sense, right? You will not hear of redevelopment in Lower Parel, because there are these factory lands which are being built and developed over years. You cannot compete with the prices of that, right? Our expertise as Elements will lie in the fact that we have the expertise of developing in a small plot a 32-story building in Thane, two in a 50-acre land, developing multiple buildings, giving some possession, developing another plot of land. So we can build everything from a Raunak residency in a tight lane of Vartak Nagar, which is 3 wings, 30 floors each, right? To a Raunak Bliss or a Raunak City where we got acres and acres of land with a 20,000 square feet office, buildings being built, different stages, right?
Yeah.
We bring that expertise to redevelopment, right? Now imagine collaborating mass housing expertise where you have the best of the contractors, you have your labor force, you have your massive teams, and doing a niche product where we would want to service the clients being our redevelopment guys or the buyers on a one-on-one basis. So I bring in the expertise of developing big projects to a 1,000 square meter plot, to having the patience of dealing with multiple societies and collaborating, because eventually rather than building two buildings on two plots next to each other, the better way of developing the city is to merge multiple plots and build one big building with more open space around it, right? So that is the twist, let's put
Yeah.
it that way,
Yeah.
that we would like to bring in with Elements Realty, because that's how we've been signing some of the projects. It's not that we are not signing 800, 900 meter plots. Yes, we are, but we are also amalgamating 2, 3, 7, 800 meter plots,
Yeah.
dealing with three different set of society members and bringing them onto one platform and showing them what is the USP, right? Because we have that USP of building big. We have the team, we have the contractors, architects, RCC consultants on the job who know how to squeeze things also that way.
So I've noticed, and recently I even interviewed MICL Group where they had
Yeah.
ventured into real estate, and earlier they did face challenges, even having a track record
Yes.
in the procurement and construction uh, sector where they were quite known, and they had built a lot of ports and everything. But I'm sure you must have also faced initial challenges, even having the experience and building Raunak Group. Starting with Elements Reality, I'm sure even be the home buyers or even the other players who are current in this market must be questioning your entry in this luxury segment, right?
Totally.
So how did you overcome such challenges?
Disadvantages, I didn't build Raunak Group, right? My father and Rajan uncle, Rajan Bandilkar, they built Raunak Group. So
Yeah.
I was lucky enough that what Rajan uncle and dad built, I sat, right? Yes, you learn, but the foundation was laid. So life was very simple. के पास plinth बनने के बाद building बनना is very easy, right? Like I'll give, like in analogies, the foundation takes the longest time, right? Because you have to go underground, nobody sees the work happening.
Yeah.
Once you hit the ground, on top slab rose दिखता है, right? And people say अरे कितना जल्दी बन गया. Till the time that पत्रे के ऊपर आप नहीं आते हो, लोगों को लगता है काम ही नहीं हो रहा है, right? So I was lucky that all of that was built in Raunak. So I'd never seen the struggles that Rajan uncle and dad went through. From procuring land to setting up the office to setting up the team, never sat in. I just came to the office and I realized, अच्छा ये अपना office है, ये अपने लोग हैं, ये engineering department, ये sales department. So to build on that was very easy, right? So scaling became easier because I was given a free hand by both of them, saying, "बेटा तू सीखेगा ऐसे." Right? So Rajan uncle was very instrumental because my dad is more conservative. Rajan uncle is a more risk taker. Let's put it that way, right? Dad has always been सोच समझ के करना. Rajan uncle like तू कर ले फिर देख लेंगे, right? So I got the learnings from both of them. How to be conservative on one end and how to, if you don't take the risk, you'll not grow.
True.
Building elements is a challenge. Is going to be a challenge. We are technically 6 months young, right? As a startup, because we just got the company registered. I just got the office in BKC. So the challenges are far greater because I've never built anything from the ground up, right? So to build a team, because we want to segregate that as an experience to give to the societies that we manage or the people that we sell houses to, because nobody's going to come to our Thane office.
Yeah.
We have a massive office in Thane, but to call a Bandra guy to Thane, he's going to be like, "Chhodna yaar," right? So to build a core team is a challenge. Every time answering questions about your credibility is a challenge. Every time answering, तुमने बनाया क्या है, एलिमेंट्स के नाम पे क्या बना है, सर कुछ नहीं, right? Is a challenge and you learn with every society, right? It's a fun experience because I was talking to somebody before I came here. You tend to realize who your well wishers are and who are not, right? Because now I'm out of the shield of Raunak, because Raunak is now an established brand. you launch a project, just put the Raunak Group board,
Hmm.
people will convince and say अच्छे लोग हैं बन जाएगा बिल्डिंग तू चिंता मत कर, right?
Hmm.
Which we've taken so many years, them starting it to the last decade. It's a
Hmm.
30-year journey of Raunak Group, right?
Yeah.
To now trying to do that and convince that in Elements
Hmm.
is starting from ground zero again,
Hmm.
right? uh, we are in a great field where we all sit on the same table
Hmm.
as friends in real estate, but we compete for the same piece of land,
Hmm.
right? This is the true test under Elements that I face or we will face in the future, where even your well wishers, because as you started saying, land is scarce,
Hmm.
everybody's getting into it, so
Hmm.
there's limited things, but everybody wants it, right?
Hmm.
This is when you realize, are you willing to let go or are
Hmm.
you willing to fight for it? Healthy competition is great,
Hmm.
but you do tend to realize that there are guys who are your friends but are not your friends, right? And the market is very small here.
So you're saying the major challenges will come from the other place rather than home buyers or the
Always,
society.
always, because see, as a eventually, Ronak is an established brand, right? My
Hmm.
father started in Carbana Santa Cruz. We still live in Carbana Santa Cruz, so people have heard of Vijay Modi,
Yeah.
right? Like how people know of Rajan Mandelkar
Hmm.
because he's now all over
Hmm.
everywhere, right? From Naredko city, state to
Hmm.
Naredko central,
Hmm.
he's everywhere, right?
Hmm.
But in Carbana Santa Cruz also people know Vijay Modi क्योंकि उस जमाने में नाम से बिकता था.
Yeah.
आपके
Yeah.
ब्रांड से नहीं बिकता था, आदमी कौन बना रहा है उससे बिकता था,
True.
राइट? सो दैट इज हेल्पिंग अस टू अ सर्टेन एक्सटेंट बिकॉज रीडेवलपमेंट में एडवांटेज क्या होता है यार, जो बिल्डिंग डैड ने बनाई थी या जहाँ पे डैड ने किसी के पहचान वाले हैं, वो लोग फोन करते हैं विजय भाई का बेटा है, ठीक है हो जाता है, राइट? सो दैट्स द
Hmm.
क्रेडिबिलिटी दैट कम्स इन. Ronak adds another dimension of credibility,
Hmm.
so it helps in. But the fierce competition for limited plots available, because we
Hmm.
are going through this amazing period in real
Hmm.
estate where every second plot is being either broken down or signing a DA,
Yeah.
where now you will not have further lands, right? Uh, the next phase, according to me, will be another 20 years from now, 30 years
Hmm.
from now, when
Hmm.
again rules will change. So people are dying for it.
Hmm.
Now, in that dying for it, the same guys, let's say you and I, today are having this cup of coffee, day after tomorrow, we are going to pitch to the same society,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
And that is where the fun's gonna be.
Hmm.
Are you still Kritika, my friend, or
Hmm.
are you Kritika, the businesswoman who's gonna say, "ये तो मुझे चाहिए, शामल को मिलना ही नहीं चाहिए."
True.
That is when you realize, okay, either you need to grow sharper teeth,
Hmm.
or you need to back off and be content in life. So that will be the biggest challenge I think I will face in growing Elements.
That's quite interesting, which you have put it across. But I will touch into it in the next segment. But before we go to the next segment, I want to ask you, there's the brand Elements Reality talks about the four elements, incorporation of four elements, that is fire, earth, air. I want to understand, how do you make these elements deliver into your projects? How are you uh, making it customer centric and a greater experience by incorporating and announcing such elements to be part of Elements Reality?
So I'll rephrase and touch that, right? The
Hmm.
idea was the name Elements Realty came in. It was very easy to put a Modi builder or Modi Elements or something
Hmm.
like that, or continue with something, right? The idea was an amalgamation. Earth has these four elements: earth, fire, wind, water, right?
Hmm.
And how together as a synergy, the planet is beautiful. As I said, I wanted to get into finance. Marketing became my core, sales and marketing, and you learn a lot about building a house through marketing. It's not just selling a घर,
Hmm.
इट इज कि उसका प्लानिंग कैसा होगा, आप उसको बनाएंगे कैसे, उसमें चीजें क्या डालेंगे,
Hmm.
all of those things makes that final house that a guy unlocks and
Yeah.
walks into, right? So Elements Realty, the idea was clear that how this earth is formed with these four elements. We first drafted the four eight pillars that we wanted, right?
Hmm.
Even if you see our logo, uh, it is very unlike real estate. It's a very colorful
Yeah.
logo. It's not a black, blue, green, yellow, red. It's not just one color.
Hmm.
It's actually eight colors which form the logo, which goes like a rainbow.
Hmm.
The inspiration was, why does a brand have to just stand for one thing?
Hmm.
Like a blue means trust, or a red means fire. which is actually showing aggression, saying that we are an aggressive brand, we'll do this,
Mm.
we'll do that. We said, why can't it be a mixture of all together, right?
Mm.
Uh, so the inspiration was actually the periodic table,
Mm.
which, because 18 years in real estate, it looks like a skyline.
Mm.
We said, why can't we incorporate all of these 8 things that we want to do
Mm.
into our brand ethos? And each of the colors which is there in our logo
Mm.
represents one of the ethos, right? So we've taken trust, we've taken love for our customers, which is red, because
Mm.
it can also be aggression, but red is also the universal color of love,
Yeah.
right? So we've taken all of these 8 colors,
Mm.
given those 8 pillars,
Mm.
and Elements Realty, right? So Elements is 8 letters,
Mm.
8 pillars, 8 colors. That is the whole universal thought behind building this, which
Mm.
covers everything from love for customers to how we would love to incorporate technology being in the 20th century or 21st century,
Mm.
to how ergonomically and efficiently designing a product, because
Mm.
the field that we want to get into is redevelopment. The biggest challenge that we face is lower floors and higher floors, all of them looking unified,
Mm.
where the planning has to be great, and
Mm.
also from the outside, the elevation has to look very good, right?
Yeah.
Because you're sort of redefining the skyline of the city for the next 30, 40, 50 years.
True.
So, how do you incorporate all of that?
Mm.
Hence, we wanted to make it saying that, boss, we will define these ethos,
Mm.
where our buildings become a landmark within that lane, micro market, city,
Mm.
state, right?
Mm.
So all of those things are written down,
Mm.
where technology, according to me, will play a major role,
Mm.
not just banking and you getting your demand letter on your phone or being able to transfer funds to a real estate developer,
Mm.
but life is about making things easy.
Mm.
Can you sit here, WhatsApp it to us as a developer saying, boss, मेरे को ये changes चाहिए घर पे, and you get a confirmation back with a picture where you don't have to visit the site, right?
Mm.
Because when the site is not ready, you're not going to climb 15 floors every time, right? But can we keep on updating you via your phone?
Mm.
To when you move into your house,
Mm.
I think home automation or IoT is going to be the next big thing. Home automation is reaching that stage,
Yeah.
but IoT will change things, not just switching lights on and off.
Mm.
But I think there are a lot of things being built. Hence, technology became one of the major pillars for us.
Mm.
Efficiency in planning became a major pillar for us.
Mm.
Uh, that is what will be the unique selling feature of our houses. Saying that, sir, we have designed the house flow
Mm.
looking at how you would like to live, right?
Mm.
In terms that, can we give a floor plate of 2000 square feet,
Mm.
not a standard 4 bedroom, but can it be a 3 bedroom or a 2 bedroom or a 1 bedroom? So how
Mm.
will the columns and beams look? Where if you knock down this wall, does the beam overhang come in your room or your
Mm.
living room?
Mm.
Because a lot of people take जोड़ी apartments और फिर जब
Mm.
आप दीवार तोड़ते हो तो वो beam दिखता है. So
Mm.
then you're like, अच्छा ये height होता है, ये beam आ गया, height उधर है. So it changes the aesthetics of your house, right? Then you'll put a false ceiling to that level. So
Mm.
all of those things formed the thought process behind the logo, saying that, can we encompass it
Mm.
and how beautiful this earth looks with just these 4 elements? Can we get these 8 elements in
Mm.
and make that house building and home buying experience a great thing from end to end to the customer?
I think it's quite, you have given time and thought in that, and it's
We
quite
did.
interesting to know because what we have noticed in Indian real estate, right? It's an emotional investment when it comes for a home
It
buyer to
is.
invest in home. But it's been become a pattern where we are noticing brands being launched on the surname of the
Right.
builder, right? So it somehow gives accountability or trust to showcase that if we are associating our name to it, you can trust us to buy home with us. And this is where you are launching a name which is not associated to your
Nothing.
name, but something quite different, well thought. But do you think this will definitely resonate with home buyers? Because home buyers को अब आदत होगी ना कि आपका ओबरॉय है, आपका गोदरेज है, सब अपने नाम से करें बिकॉज़ उनको लगता है अच्छा अकाउंटेबिलिटी है, ट्रस्ट है, वो एक you create that kind of customer behavior also in terms of responding to brand names, right?
True.
And now we are seeing a change, especially with your brand. There are a few more brands who are coming, not saying no to their surnames, but something different which can make it also a global name. So how do you see this? How do you see it will be perceived by Indian home buyers?
Now that's a 15-year journey that I'll have to
Mm,
traverse to reach and say that boss, elements का नाम याद रहता है कि नहीं याद रहता है,
mm,
right? The idea was, as I said, right, it came because my daughter loves rainbows, right?
mm,
Um how in a rainbow multicolors look great together. That's why multicolors could look great on a logo. Means
mm,
talking to the agency saying I am okay having 8 colors in my logo changes things because an agency is told ये 3 ब्रांड कलर है इसके
mm,
आगे पीछे तो कुछ करना मत ब्लैक
mm,
व्हाइट में दे देना और बाकी कलर डाल देना
mm,
राइट it's not that I'm letting go of my surname also, right? Very proud of being who I am, where I am, at what my father's brought in. Uh, but if you notice with Ronak also, right? There's
mm,
no Bandelkar in it, there's no Modi in it.
mm,
Ronak is a very generic name. Ronak means brightness. Ronak means literally Ronak, khushiyan, right?
yeah.
Uh, so we come from that thought process,
Mm,
right? Elements is just an extension of that thought process.
mm,
Not that I'm going to name my generation after me elements, but uh, it comes from the thought process that why can't we have a neutral name
mm,
where I am being associated with or the family is being associated with,
mm,
and the family is saying we are elements, elements is us, right? Why does
mm,
I it have to be that it is taking it to the next step because today there's a Modi who's there, tomorrow there could be a Patel or a Shah or whoever.
mm,
Can a brand go beyond the surname that is running or starting the show, right?
mm,
Uh, a Paytm doesn't have the founder's surname,
yeah. Yeah.
right? A Cred doesn't have the founder's surname because these are companies and organizations being built,
Mm,
right? The trust in that name and surname
mm,
will be built over years because in a Paytm or a Google Pay
mm,
or an Amazon, the trust is built by the leadership principles that the founders have put into play. These
mm,
are consumer products or mass consumer items
mm,
where trust builds either overnight or doesn't build at all.
right.
Real estate trust will build over time.
Mm,
From the time I start talking to the first society
mm,
to the time I sign them, break them, rehouse them is a
mm,
4 or 5 year journey,
true.
right? So it is going to be a 15-year journey for me to realize whether what we envisioned or
Mm,
started with saying these are the 8 pillars that we'll cover and this is how the houses will look and this is what will happen and hopefully the customers or the home buyers or the society guys who come back, right, the
mm,
homeowners who trusted us with their house and are buying it,
mm,
do they buy into that journey as well and say that हाँ यार श्यामल तूने जो बोला था ना कि ऐसे ऐसे बिल्डिंग बनेगी ऐसे ऐसे घर बनेगा ये थॉट प्रोसेस के अंदर बनेगा
mm,
बना है, right? That one guy or one woman coming to me and saying बेटा जो आपने बोला था ना ये होता है,
mm,
that is the win. I don't need 3,000 guys coming and liking us and saying thank you very much.
mm,
One guy, right? Because uh, I'm in a field unfortunately where appreciation is very limited.
mm,
You will never see a real estate developer cut tweet or Facebook post being
mm,
appreciated by somebody saying thank you so much for giving us a wonderful home. आपने 3 महीना डिले कर दिया, आपने 6 महीना डिले कर दिया, मेरा ये लीकेज है, मेरा वो लीकेज है,
mm,
राइट?
mm,
लीकेज है, yes we are very sorry, we will fix it, we'll redo your house.
mm, mm,
Nobody after that says thank you so much for taking prompt action
mm,
and fixing the leakage. Nobody does that because I think as a society we are more happy complaining rather than being happy, right? And real estate is your biggest emotional investment. You
mm,
come home tired from a long day at work
mm,
and you see यार नल लीक हो रहा है.
mm,
It is very easy to remove your frustration on developer because there is a face to it.
mm,
You can't remove your frustration on Apple now, can you? Because who do you talk to? It's a multi-billion-dollar corporation where you will never be able to reach to the top, right?
mm,
Uh, Real estate developers are a lot hands-on. We take onus to a lot of things. There are developers and there are corporates.
mm,
The developers will always outrun, outnumber, and outbid a corporate because we don't run on spreadsheets.
mm,
So hence, multi-generational real estate developers, right,
mm.
will outperform everybody.
So you're breaking barriers in real estate industry by coming out with a neutral name. that can be
Yes,
known for the brand itself rather than with
rather than the
someone's
surname
surname.
that's attached to it or the surnames that are attached to it.
So that's great. And also, I want our viewers also to know under Elements Reality, what are the upcoming projects? If you could give us a sneak peek to it.
So we started off with the micro market of Carbon and Santa Cruz because that's where we live. The idea was to first get within the friends and family references circle because bidding process usually take time. You
Hmm.
fill a tender, you go through. We've applied for certain tenders. We've closed in close to about 7 societies
Hmm.
within the micro market of Carbon and Santa Cruz. Uh, I would. There are actually 9 buildings, but eventually there'll be 7 because we are
Hmm.
merging certain plots together, and we are also bidding for certain plots within South Bombay. So we are in the next 12 months. You're looking at about 6 projects being launched. So in the next financial year, you will have every quarter a project being launched or two, depending upon how fast the approvals come in. Because we are getting into an election year,
Hmm.
center and state both.
Yeah.
So the processes might get a bit elongated.
Hmm.
So the idea is to speed up at least as much paperwork as possible before March,
Hmm.
and then hope for the best. But yeah, you're looking at about 6 launches in the next financial year.
Nice.
Yeah, been a bit aggressive.
So, sustainability is gaining a prominence in real estate development as well. People and even real estate developers have started practicing sustainability. Where do you see Elements Reality also implementing sustainability practices in their projects? And how do you see this landscape changing over the time?
Real estate had to, any which ways, get into that model because the world is, I think, realizing that resources are limited, might as well use them wisely and properly and not waste them. The biggest, I think, how do you say, the consumption that happens is of water in real estate,
Hmm.
right? Um, we are we've got, obviously, there are technologies where grey water treatment happens, you've got STPs happening. The government has been pretty proactive in trying to improve and increase the groundwater table. Hence, they are insisting that you start digging and putting at least those holes for borewells, ensuring that at least the groundwater table rises. Because
Yeah.
we read about it every other day, where either there is over flooding that happens in certain places because lakes are filled, drainages are not done properly, and also you hear the other side of the story which says that pani nahi mil raha
Hmm.
hai, right? There's a shortage in parts of the city, state, country. What we are trying to achieve by doing is considering the size of the plots because they're pretty small, and
Hmm.
to fit in an STP, to fit in how do you say, grey water treatment plants, it's more cumbersome and planning gets affected.
Hmm.
But wherever we do have space, we are trying to ensure that at least now there are small portable machines which help you in grey water treatment, right?
Right.
So we're trying to get those things sorted where we put those in bigger plots, anything above 1,000 or 1,200 square meters.
Hmm.
Even though we are not under the environment purview, we are trying to look at options where we use those machines and that technology to treat that water and use it at least for the watering of the plants. Car washing is a bigger thing which uses a lot of water.
Yeah.
Which is, this is the post construction
Hmm.
idea, right?
Hmm.
Implementation and usage of your blocks, your block works, reduces our dependency on water. So
Hmm.
what we are trying to do under the Elements umbrella is try and ensure that the amount of water wastage, right? There are places that you need to use water and has to be used, but the
Hmm.
amount of water wastage, and if there are a bit more expensive materials to be utilized,
Hmm.
we rather take that angle and preserve as much water as possible, because there are a lot of studies that have come out which says that over the next 20-30 years, the
Hmm.
commodity which will be one of the most expensive commodities is not going to be gold, diamond, silver.
Right.
It's actually going to be water, because there is drinking water. The amount of drinking water that remains is going to be less, right? So
Hmm.
we are trying to ensure that our sites use as much less water as possible to avoid wastage. That's one. We are getting into LED fitments and lightings uh, to ensure that at least the electricity bills also come down and the wastage is also less. We've started installing auto meters in
Hmm.
some of our projects in Thana under the basements and the podiums, because the idea is if there is movement, the meter senses the car moving and the lights switch on and off automatically. This
Mm.
will help in conserving electricity, also brings down the bills. LED lights are better, they use less electricity. So
Mm.
the overall idea is to ensure that one of the most important factors, which is the environment that we live in, is preserved and left, whatever, how do you say, in a better word, left at least at a better stage than
Mm.
where we are using it today, right? So that is the thing, because we've read recently, right, where because of the pollution in the
Yeah.
air,
Yeah.
um, BMC said increase your fencing to about 35 feet, ensure that there are water sprinklers on site. So
Mm.
for Ronak, what we've done is we started using the grey water, treating that, and then using that water to settle down the dust rather than getting tankers and tankers of water
Right.
and sprinkling those. We said,
Mm.
boss, there's anyway labor grey water that happens. Let's recycle it. It's a cost, but
Mm.
at least it's better than using fresh water to, I don't know, prevent the dust from going up in the air. So we are, as a
Mm.
group, individuals, trying to sustain as much as we can, not worrying about the cost factor, but whatever can fit into that project.
Mm.
That way.
So when I ask a lot of experts, real estate developers, why sustainable practices are not implemented in a higher level, so they always quote that it's based on the demographic also, what audience you're catering to, right? So when it comes to affordable housing, of course, if you explain the customer, if we put this sustainable practice, the cost will be this. That customer is not okay with that. But when it comes to luxury housing, because now you're getting into it, right? The redevelopment of luxury homes. Do you think the conversation would change where the customer will demand or give money extra when it comes to sustainable
I
practices?
honestly, I don't agree with most of these experts, right?
Hmm.
Um, why do I need to tell the customer or educate the customer saying this is the cost increase?
Hmm.
Eventually, it comes down to us, right?
Right.
Whether we want to do better,
Hmm.
right? My price is my price of selling whatever I'm selling, may it be affordable housing, may it be luxury housing.
True.
Uh, why do I need a consumer's approval for it?
Hmm.
I think it is our right, as human beings staying here,
Hmm.
to ensure that we do what is needed. I mean, eventually, nothing. How do you put it? It does not matter in the long run. Let's put it that way, right?
Yeah.
It'll cost me $10 more.
Hmm.
I think we are a brand enough to command, demand, respect $20 more,
Yeah.
right? Uh, it becomes a factor only because bricks, earlier we used to use bricks, right?
Hmm.
That used to create a lot of pollution. Bricks moved towards blocks. The difference between the cost and a brick is pretty high,
Yeah.
right? A lot of people say छोड़ना brick work करके खत्म करते
Hmm.
हैं, but brick work के बाद आपको प्लास्टर लगता है.
Hmm.
Plaster uses a lot of water in itself. Block work पे उतना प्लास्टर नहीं रखता है, right?
Yeah.
So you're cutting by shifting from one to another.
Hmm.
A lot of people forget to realize that cost is one angle,
Hmm.
time saved is another angle as well. So what
Hmm.
you're increasing your cost of development, you're also decreasing your time, because अब ब्रिक वर्क करो, ब्रिक वर्क चिप होता है, ब्रिक वर्क में प्रॉब्लम होते हैं, लीकेजेस ज्यादा होते हैं, ब्लॉक वर्क में कम होते हैं.
Yeah.
So you're improving the quality of the product. And an
Yeah.
improved quality product, I don't need to go and educate somebody saying मैंने टाटा का स्टील डाला है या एल के ब्लॉक्स लिए तो मेरे को आप ज्यादा पैसा दीजिए, कोई नहीं
Hmm.
बोलता है.
True. True.
Your brand sells. Now it is our responsibility and us whether we want to build that STP in a non-environment project or put a grey water treatment plant in a non-environment project.
Hmm.
Tomorrow the government makes it mandatory. Are we all
Hmm.
going to go and explain it to the customer saying, अभी तो क्या है, हमारा cost बढ़ गया? Customer doesn't care about it. You give a better product, ensure that it helps the customer in the long run.
Right.
If I do grey water treatment, can the consumer bring his water bill down from the BMC?
Hmm.
Yes, they can. If I use LED lights with motion sensors, it's a cost. It's a
Hmm.
cost for development. But is it a facility where the consumer might be happy and glad and say, यार ये अच्छा है यार, लाइट वेस्ट नहीं होती है,
Hmm.
मेरा मेंटेनेंस बिल कम आता है,
Hmm.
right? These are the smaller things which the consumer realizes. May it be affordable housing in Thana Kalyan to a luxury housing in Carbana Santa Cruz. Everybody is aware, everybody is well traveled, everybody is well read.
Hmm.
So I really don't believe this whole कि नहीं नहीं वो कस्टमर को एक्सप्लेन, कस्टमर को कुछ नहीं एक्सप्लेन करना है. Products which should be sustainable or
Hmm.
carbon neutral or everything that are there, for the real estate the R&D is still going on, right? Green cement is still in a very nascent stage.
Yeah.
You need a lot of expert opinion and advice to say that this is good, because you need those testings to happen, and the testing will only happen over time.
Yeah.
आज से 25 साल पहले ग्रे वाटर ट्रीटमेंट पे लोग हंसते थे कि क्या पागल हो गए हो क्या, यू कैन यूज द फ्लश वाटर फॉर एनीथिंग. नाउ लोग बोलते हैं ये तो बहुत अच्छी चीज हो गई यार, पानी बचता है, गार्डनिंग में यूज हो जाएगा, इसमें यूज हो जाएगा. सो इट्स ऑल अ परसेप्शन एंड टाइम. Eventually we will move towards a much more sustainable environment. Whether you want to do it as a developer or as a real estate consultant or as an architect is on you and your call. You don't need a customer's approval for it. They are eventually going to be happy. But I don't buy that whole verdict saying that cost बढ़ती है, customer समझता नहीं है. You buy a watch or a laptop.
Yeah.
Or this thing that you have, right? This pad. The developer of this pad or the manufacturer has not told you whether it's a green product or not a green product. You see a recyclable logo and you automatically understand that. Right? You're worried about the MRP and not what how it was got, right? Same with real estate.
But as a developer, won't you say there's less or there's no government initiatives when it comes to sustainable practices which are there in commercial, right? In commercial development, the government incentives are more with regards to the tax benefits and everything. So, of course, people are going for the LED LEED certificate and saying that this commercial building is sustainable and all of that. Don't you think such initiatives should also be brought in residential, where the construction contractors get incentives, where even developer from the back end gets incentives to develop such buildings?
It is there. It's just the cost angle. For example, Viraj Tower, one of our projects in Thane, right? It is actually a LEED certified gold building. It's at par with one of the commercial buildings that you develop. So it is a LEED certified gold building. That means we have used sustainable materials. We have ensured that the environment norms which are set, which are those basic environment norms, we've gone above and beyond those to ensure that we certify for LEED, right? It was one of the first projects in residential, first project in Thane to be a LEED certified development. So it is there. It is just whether you want to go that extra mile, incur that extra cost to develop that project or not. In commercial, people do it because electricity is one of the largest contributors to cost, right? Your commercial electricity bill versus your residential electricity bill, massive difference. Hence, people go in for a LEED certified gold, platinum, silver building कि आपका इलेक्ट्रिसिटी बिल कम आएगा तो भाड़ूती को मजा आएगा कि यार मेरा तो बिल कम आ रहा है ना, मैं 200 रुपया रेंट एक्स्ट्रा देता हूँ. Same thing happens in residential. It's just that 2008, 9, 10, 11 people were not that aware of it. 20 to 23 going into 24, a lot more people are aware about the environmental issues that are being faced, right? Bombay never had the smog post Diwali. It was only associated with Delhi and Haryana, right? कि वहाँ पे तो crop burning होता है तो smog होता है. Bombay realized since the past 2 years कि अच्छा यहाँ पे भी smog होता है, and BMC took the preventive actions that it has to take, right? So it is about also being proactive from our front, which some of us are. Some of us will get there. It's a process. It will take time, and it's a process, and it will have to happen. Whatever said and done, it will have to happen.
So, is this a process like how we have seen in technology? For example, before the pandemic hit us, real estate developers were not interested to talk about technology, were not interested to use tech-enabled solutions. But post-pandemic, we have seen that conversation getting changed because digital transformation was there. Also during pandemic, you need to show the sites or the apartments, so AR, VR, all of that was used. Now the even the second generation, third generation developers are now more showing interest with the tech-enabled solutions. So do you think this kind of conversation will take time, especially when you compare Indian real estate market to global players?
Definitely, it will take time. What the pandemic did was accelerate technology by 10 years, right?
Right.
AR, VR होता था 10 साल बाद होता. Because as a second generation real estate developer, I'll tell you very honestly, you go to your father and tell him that ये करते हैं, वैसे करते हैं, इतने टाइम से तो हम लोग नहीं कर रहे थे, फिर भी हो ही रहा था. ये नई नई चीजें क्या है? You stick to the basics, right? Because in the pandemic, as you said, site visit बंद हो गया, पेमेंट रिसीट्स आने बंद हो गए लोगों को, how do you bring him to the site? How do you show them the site? How do you make them experience the show flat? Hence AR/VR took over. Hence internet took over in the sense that boss, ERP should be on the cloud. You should start having your apps. Consumer should get their receipt online rather than those physical receipts. तो वो फिजिकल रिसीट से आप डिजिटल रिसीट पे आ गए तो आपने पेपर कम यूज किया. ये तो वो 10 साल आप आगे चले गए क्योंकि 6 महीने आप घर पे बैठे थे और कुछ नहीं हो रहा था. Right? The same thing will happen in the environmental scene scenario, right? The more we talk about it, the more we face certain smogs like this in an area like Bombay, which is close to the sea. क्योंकि अपने को तो मालूम ही नहीं था ना landlocked होके smog क्या होता है, right? Because you're near the coast, wind is there, life is good, so it will accelerate, but it will take its time. The only way it accelerates is like the pandemic, right? It hits you, you realize, and a lot of money gets pumped into that research and development, and things move better. Zoom existed before, but that version of Zoom versus the version of Zoom that you see today, a lot of money went into R&D very quickly because he could raise that funds, right? The same thing will happen with your green blocks, your concrete that is there, your green cement that comes in. It will take time. Today it's just not important. Let's put it that way. It's not that important. Today, what is important is how do you make the building stronger and faster, better, right? Because 5 साल लगते हैं प्रोजेक्ट बनाने में, आप 4.5 कैसे कर सकते हो? उसके लिए आपको क्या क्या चाहिए, उस पे आज focus is more, right? Because the faster you build, the better for the consumer also. EMI कम लगता है, better for the developer, ब्याज कम लगता है. Right. So that is, I think, where the main focus is in terms of technology being developed or technology being enhanced to build your project, right? But very, very soon you will start seeing this green thing come in. We've started with the EV cars. The jury is still out there whether EV cars are better or petrol cars are better. Yeah. Because for our nation, how do you produce electricity is more important, right? Wind, solar energy, ठीक है. EV cars are better. You use coal to produce electricity, you might as well use petrol. It's better that way, right? Yeah. So the jury is still out there. We'll get there, but we'll reach the same place with real estate. You will need certain triggers over time where people will start pooling in resources and funding the development and R&D of these products. So lately, we all been talking about prop tech companies, which are now emerging, and there have been a lot of in real estate ecosystem. But prop tech has been there. It's not like it's just now it has come in because of the post-pandemic. Of course, the conversation has changed. Now we have seen more technology companies coming in, Contech, clean tech, smart tech, and everything. But when I speak to prop tech guys, right, they say when they build technology for the customer or for the B2B platform, it's quite good and easy for them rather than building a technology for developer. Because the conversation still what happens with the developer is they are just saying कि भाई मुझे बेचने से मतलब है. If my unit is getting sold, I'm happy with that. They are, do you think what lacking right now is still the maturity when it comes to accepting or when it comes to integrating technology on the operation level from the developer front? It will be there because a lot of times what happens is it's cost value, right? Is it better to implement this technology or better to hire 3 people? If the cost of labor is cheap, technology is expensive, right? SAP, pretty expensive to implement, more expensive to run and manage the show, right? A lot of people say SAP नहीं करते हैं, थोड़ा नीचे लेके आते हैं, right? SAP is just one thing. AR, VR, right? It is also the maturity of the market, right? A lot of young guys are okay taking a decision by wearing a VR, AR set, saying मैंने plan digitally देख लिया, सही लग रहा है, ले लेते हैं, right? Bangalore, prime example. A lot of transactions happen online. Yeah. Bombay, more expensive, more clients, more houses, but people still want that touch, feel, look at the site, go on the site, visit the site 3, 4 times, right? I know a couple of guys. My family stays in Bangalore. They booked a house with a couple of developers. Project status updates on pictures, they were completely fine with date, time, and stamp. We do the same thing here in Thana. People still want to come to the site and see slab hua kya. So it also depends on the type of customers that you're dealing with. right?
Mm.
There are still guys who prefer going and picking up their food
Mm.
rather than ordering it via a food delivery app, right?
Mm. Mm.
So it is the consumer that you're targeting and reaching to.
Or would you say the conversation is still not happening when it comes to prop technology with developer because they're negotiating on the price?
Yeah, cost is important.
Hmm.
Um what we are trying to do, or what, as a second generation real estate developer, I moved towards tech. A first generation guy might not be. Like my
Hmm.
father might be, ठीक है ना, चल रहा है ना, tally is good. Why do you need an ERP?
Hmm.
I would want an ERP because I'm saying, Papa, we don't need 100 people to run the show. We can do it in 80. My father said, why? We rather do tally. People are there. Life is going on. Why do you want to change things?
Yeah.
Uh, it will be that debate, right? As long as, again, as I said, with anything in technology, as long as there's not a trigger point,
Hmm.
uh, enhancement won't happen, acceleration won't happen, right? IoT of things.
Hmm.
Uh, home automation always existed.
Yeah.
Last 3 years, it spiked. Why? Because it got affordable,
Hmm.
right? पहले सिर्फ लग्जरी होम्स या बड़े बड़े लोग होम ऑटोमेशन करते थे.
True.
We were one of the pioneers. We signed up with Jio.
Hmm.
We got home automation in Thane and Kalyan, right? And home automation in the sense that you can actually run your house through your phone. From a video doorbell which rings
Hmm.
onto your phone, to switching on your AC, fan, geyser, to getting a ping if there's a gas leak, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
Earlier, only luxury, rich home automation was associated to that.
Yeah.
Now it's become simpler because it is mass produced, right?
Right.
The same thing will happen
Hmm.
when the cost of implementing that technology reduces. AR, VR,
Hmm.
yes, today it takes time, right?
Hmm.
Dubai is far ahead of us in that curve and in the game, but Dubai also needs to be, because you've got buyers from UK, India, Russia, China, US,
Yeah.
right? Sorry, not everybody visits Dubai
Hmm.
because it's also a hotbed for appreciation faster. India is still local consumption.
Hmm.
More than local is hyper local. Kharbana Santa Cruz is that micro market that consume. Very few
Hmm.
move out, very few come in. Right?
Hmm. Hmm.
They don't want that technology. They want to go visit the site.
Hmm.
Right?
Hmm.
So there is no need. I'm not targeting somebody from the US. Even if there is,
Hmm.
uh, to a smaller extent, technology has happened, right? Because
Hmm.
the son is in the US, the parents are coming to the site, वीडियो कॉल पे सन को घर दिखा रहे हैं.
Right.
उसको उधर AR VR नहीं चाहिए.
Hmm.
व्हाट्सएप कॉल पे या फेस टाइम पे आपने
Hmm.
उसको साइट दिखा दिया, उधर से सन ने अप्रूव कर दिया, इन्होंने इधर ट्रांजैक्शन कर दिया. तो
Hmm.
टेक्नोलॉजी डिड गेट यूज,
Yeah.
just not wearing a headset, right?
Hmm.
So things will get implemented and happen. Why? Data became cheap.
Hmm.
पहले व्हाट्सएप कॉल पे भी पैसे लगते थे, डेटा के पैसे लगते थे, कॉल्स के पैसे लगते थे,
Hmm.
राइट? And WhatsApp call to means we use the most amount of data in the world,
Hmm.
right? So it is happening, but it has to be affordable. Uh, More than affordable means, it's a wrong word. A lot of prop tech guys will kill me when I say this, but it is not. When it becomes affordable, or anything that becomes
Hmm.
affordable,
Hmm.
the mass starts to use it.
Hmm.
The moment mass starts to use it,
Hmm.
people start adopting it. Earlier WhatsApp पे आप
Hmm.
receipt receipt नहीं भेजते थे.
Hmm.
It used to look very non-professional. आज कस्टमर ऑफिस में बैठता है, हमें फोन करता है, ट्रांजैक्शन हो जाता है,
Hmm.
फिजिकल कॉपी नहीं चाहिए, मैं जिस दिन आऊंगा उस दिन ले लूंगा, फाइल करके तो आप व्हाट्सएप पे भेज दो,
Yeah.
राइट?
Hmm.
It is the use of technology that has happened. WhatsApp is, it's
Hmm.
not prop tech, but it is tech which is
Hmm.
being used for real estate development, right? It can be e-tech, जिससे आप एडुकेशन कर सकते हो.
Right.
Hyper focused prop tech will take time, right?
Hmm.
uh, ERPs are getting there, but real estate having so many moving parts,
Hmm.
to get an ERP which solves multiple problems takes time. The kind of people that are coming into real estate now, right, is very different from 10 years ago,
Yeah.
right? I'm talking about the talent pool.
Hmm.
The 5 years from now, we'll not be having this conversation, and you suddenly see an acceleration of technology in terms of every cat A B C D E F G H Z developer जो एक बिल्डिंग भी करता है या जो 100 बिल्डिंग भी करता है will have any form of the ERP in system क्योंकि वो बोलता है यार कस्टमर के लिए सिंपल हो जा रहा है ना कर लेते हैं जब वो कैट ए से कैट जेड और टीयर 1 से टीयर 5 तक जाएगा ना that's when the PropTech guys need to realize that rather than going retail and targeting the top 3 go mass, just open that technology up for everybody, let people start using it and pay per use rather than pay per implementation. That will change the scenario, I think. And WhatsApp is free, so you use it, right? WhatsApp makes money in a very different way. Why can't we do that in prop tech technology? We need to figure out ways to get people to use it, to get addicted to it, and realize that it has now become part of my ecosystem and my living. तो ये तो होना ही.
It's interesting you said it has to become the part of your ecosystem, right? So we have seen a change when it comes to channel partners.
True.
When it comes to mandate business, what we are looking into, there are bigger players who are now catering to all this by providing a umbrella of solutions where builders are ready to pay for whatever amount they charge because they know from them I'm getting technology, from them I'm getting my sales done, my marketing done, my creative done. So, are we looking in a pattern which would say that it is going to be fewer players, of course, where such technology or such solutions come in an umbrella manner to a developer? If someone is building for a developer, let's talk about PropTech guys. This is the way to go about to reach to a developer to come down or to make them agree because in a developer perspective, it seems like मैंने एक जने को दे दिया सारा काम हो जाएगा.
So I'll tell you the smart move that a prop tech guy should do. I mean, I'm just giving my 2 bits. They know their business better. Let's say a particular big developer who's got projects across the country, right? Is building a solution which helps them monitor their project, manage their CPs, manage their customers easy. The prop tech guy spent money, built it, because it is their property. It's not the developer's property, right? Means he's told somebody that तेरा ये solution है, इसमें ये tweak करके तू कर डाल. हो गया, बन गया. You've incurred that one-time cost. Why not open it up to 500 other developers and say, सुन, ये बनाया था, लाख रुपए में बांटता हूँ, right? अब 10 लाख रुपए में 10 जन को ढूंढ रहे हो या लाख रुपए में 100 जन को ढूंढो, which is a much more profitable business. Why does the government harp on affordable housing? Why do certain developers who used to do luxury move towards affordable housing? It's a daily cash roll business, right? India as a market needs more homes than luxury homes. Yes, post-COVID, luxury homes have picked up. Pre-COVID, people were complaining, माल नहीं बिकता है. Post-COVID, society हर दूसरे दिन टूट रही है. As a market, आज भी आपका सब 1 crore, सब 2 crore, सब 3 crore, depending upon which location you are, sells. Why is that possible? Because of the mass usage, right? Your turnover is faster, your product gets sold faster, your costs are lesser. Now you apply the same logic to a prop tech guy. क्यों तू करोड़ रुपए चार्ज करता है? I understand your technology is extremely expensive. You spent a lot of money in the R&D of it. But if only 5 developers are going to use it, those 5 guys might not get the end result, or 3 might not get the end result. हम सब एक टेबल पे बैठे बोलते अरे इसको मत यूज कर यार, मजा नहीं आया. So you're reaching out to your target audience, but the people who are using your product are not too happy with it. तो ये नहीं यूज हो रहा है. And it's not that they are using it wrong or you are doing something wrong. It's just that the consumer is saying छोड़ना है, इसके बिना भी मेरा माल तो बिकता है. The consumer saying नहीं हमको नहीं देखना, हम आके देखेंगे. तो the builder says मैं इस पे खर्चा क्यों करूं? So why can't they open it, or why not try and open it and ensure that ERP is easy to use, right? Tally at 10 lakh rupees or tally at 10,000 rupees, everybody uses tally, right? Why can't ERPs do the same thing? It's eventually a billing system, right?
Yeah.
So why can't that happen? That is what my understanding of the situation would be, right? Google Pay works because it's free. Cred works because they made it free, they made it exciting. They're finding different avenue models and streams to make revenue, right? Why can't prop tech guys do the same thing?
So, what is your view when it comes to mandate business and channel partners who are bringing out all
They
these
run the
solutions?
show. Whatever said and done, we might
Hmm.
want to agree. A lot of developers say, nahi, nahi, nahi. Was heart in heart, hand on heart,
Hmm.
whatever you want to say. Everybody knows that a channel partner can make or break your project, right?
Hmm.
What pisses the channel partner off the most? Do you means I'm sure you must have spoken to a lot of guys, but what do you think pisses the channel partner off the most?
Not getting paid.
One,
Yeah.
B मेरा लीड चोरी हो गया. नॉट
Yeah.
गेटिंग पेड वो एक ट्रांजैक्शन के बाद बंद कर देता है आपके साथ,
Yeah.
राइट. लीड चोरी हो गया ना, वो उसको बहुत गुस्सा देता है.
Hmm.
Hence the CRM softwares took off, right?
Yeah.
Because the CRM softwares took off, now you find 100 options of CRM.
Hmm.
कोई भी कुछ भी करके CRM ब्रांड करके दे देता है.
Hmm.
तो जो बड़े लोग हैं जिन्होंने लाखों खर्चे किए थे उसके ऊपर, अच्छा CRM बनाने को, पब्लिक बोलती है इतना महंगा नहीं चाहिए, मैं सस्ता वाला लेता हूँ. वो बड़ा CRM सॉफ्टवेयर वाली कंपनी अगर सस्ता कर देती
Hmm.
तो इट वुड कैप्चर द मार्केट शेयर, right?
Hmm.
So a lot of developers are getting their own CRM because they are afraid and worried that the channel partner lead shouldn't get lost, right?
Hmm.
Mandate companies are insisting on CRM software. If you don't have one, Anadoc is a great example, which has have its own technology team जो says आप हमारा CRM use कीजिए boss, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
Because we need to track our leads because आधा आपका स्टाफ है आधा हमारा स्टाफ है, they have a model like that.
Hmm.
तो how do I know कि मेरा लीड है कि आपका लीड है और किसका
Right.
लीड है? Because
Yeah.
eventually the brokers also looking at Analog saying boss आपने बोला तो मैं बेचा तो मेरा फी
True.
निकलना चाहिए.
True.
So Analog is not charging me 1 crore rupees to use a CRM software ना. जैसे बॉस आपने मुझे मैंडेट दिया है, आप यूज करो, अपना मैंडेट खत्म हो गया, मैं मेरा CRM वापस लेके जाता हूँ.
Hmm.
Because it's free, I am using it.
Yeah.
It needs to be made accessible, right?
Hmm.
CPs are learning how to use CRM software also because they are growing their teams.
Hmm.
They are afraid कि 10 जन की टीम है, एक जन छोड़ के चलेगा, डेटा निकल गया तो.
Hmm.
And they are also having their own CRM software.
Hmm.
So CRM as a prop tech is the only one that's taken off
Yeah.
because the widespread use from a builder to a channel partner to a mandate is using it.
Hmm.
VRER कौन यूज कर रहा है? कोई नहीं यूज कर रहा है.
Yeah.
क्योंकि उसकी नीड ही आपने क्रिएट नहीं कर दी. आपने बोला एक हेडसेट लेना है 5 लाख रुपए लगेगा,
Hmm.
उसको डेवलप करना है और 25 लाख रुपए लगेगा. तो ऐसे यार 35 लाख रुपया, 30 लाख रुपया, 40 लाख रुपया एक VR हेडसेट और एक पे करूं,
Hmm.
उससे अच्छा 50 लाख रुपए में एक 10 मिनट की रील बना देता हूँ यार.
Hmm.
लुक एंड फील तो उस पर ज्यादा अच्छा आता है. VR पहन के वो ऊपर नीचे देखे, उससे अच्छा आईपैड पे या
Hmm.
लैपटॉप पे या बड़े स्क्रीन पे मैं उसको पूरा रन थ्रू दे देता हूँ प्रोजेक्ट का, समझ जाएगा.
Hmm.
वही अगर VR 3 लाख का होता ना, राइट, आपका सेल्स टीम वो लेके घूमता बाइक पे और बोलता सर आप आओ ना, आपके ऑफिस में मैं आता हूँ, आपका प्रोजेक्ट दिखा के जाता हूँ, पसंद आ गया तब साइट विजिट करना.
Hmm.
बिकॉज वो 50 लाख रुपए है, बिकॉज वन VR हेडसेट विद दैट ऑक्यूलस और एवरीथिंग इज कॉस्टिंग 5-6 लाख रुपीज.
Yeah.
तो गाइस 5 लाख रुपए का कितना VR हेडसेट लेगा?
Hmm.
5 VR हेडसेट लेगा. बिगड़ गया तो
Hmm.
5 लाख डाउन द ट्रेन, नहीं वापरा तो 5 लाख डाउन द ट्रेन. छोड़ना, एक वीडियो बना देते 25 लाख में, ब्लास्ट कर दे व्हाट्सएप पे, डाल दे फेसबुक पे, चैनल
Hmm.
पार्टनर को दे दे. लुक एट द रीच. व्हाट विल 5 VR headsets get you that a video can't get you?
But tell me, when it comes to mandate business, isn't developer giving a micro control to them when it comes to creative, when it comes to how the vision should be of that project, how it should be communicated, advertised, and then later how it should be sold?
No, I think we are getting more professional,
Hmm.
right? Um, a developer is not an architect,
Right.
right? An architect becomes a developer, but a developer is not an architect, right?
Hmm.
Why do we have architects who are pure play professionals? They've studied that. They know what materials to go. They know the latest trends that happen. A developer clicks a picture, sends to the architect saying ऐसा बना दे.
Hmm.
Architect says सर इधर ये नहीं मैं ये करके देता हूँ, right? Professional business.
Hmm.
Lawyers. You can study law, but if you become a developer, you still hire a lawyer. Why? Professional. RCC consultants, professionals. MEP consultant, professionals. Sales mandate agencies, professionals.
Hmm.
It's having the right talent pool. The mandate business look at it as their business. they are willing to hire a sales head at 10 lakh rupees a month. A developer will never hire a sales head at 10 lakh rupees a month. ये पागल है क्या? उसको 10 लाख दूंगा क्योंकि वो एक ही प्रोजेक्ट बेचता है.
Right.
So then he will compromise on his talent pool. But a mandate guy can do that क्योंकि वो एक क्वार्टर में एक प्रोजेक्ट लॉन्च करके बेच के दूसरे प्रोजेक्ट पे चले जाता है.
True.
Right? So the same guy is selling 4 projects a year versus in a developer is selling 1 project in the whole year. So the cost is higher. So it is now getting much more professional, where I think a developer becomes the focal point of the wheel, right? And these are all the spokes,
Yeah.
and that helps the wheel run.
But tell me, when it comes to AIF companies where they're investing on the stalled projects or when they are providing capital for the developer to build the project, when AIF companies tell them how to, from the nitty gritty, let's say how change the contractor or get this sales mandate guy or change this creative, then why does the developer feel a bit, pinched about that fact?
How can you tell me how to run my business? I mean, it's as simple as that. You can't tell me how to run my business, and that is the pinching factor. It's nothing else. It's just a personal opinion pinching factor, I think.
But don't you think they must have had certain data or analytics? That's why they're infusing a capital in your project or in the developer project, knowing where did you go wrong and we can help you build this project properly.
Everybody has that data, right? Why do you hire a mandate company? A mandate company is like technically showing you a mirror. If you hire a mandate company at the start of the project, that's a very different thing versus a mandate company a year into the project. Because कहीं ना कहीं आपका प्राइसिंग रॉन्ग था, या तो आपने जो प्रोडक्ट बनाना था वो रॉन्ग था, या तो आप जहाँ पे एडवर्टाइजमेंट कर रहे थे वो गलत थी, या तो आपकी टीम प्रोफेशनल इनफ नहीं थी.
पर वो आपको मैंडेट बिजनेस वाला बता रहा है, राइट? देन यू आर चेंजिंग द गेम.
बिकॉज देन अगेन मैंडेट हटा देते. आर्किटेक्ट, I love real estate, but I'm not an architect by profession. I love design, but I'm not an architect by profession. मैं AutoCAD पे कुछ भी बना दूं, doesn't mean वो बनेगा या वो सही है. The architect knows क्या बनेगा, किधर विंडो आनी चाहिए, कितने साइज की विंडो आनी चाहिए, कितना दरवाजा होना चाहिए, क्या अप्रूव होगा, क्या नहीं अप्रूव होगा. प्रोफेशनल है. In any business to grow, you need professionals to come in and help you out. Same with mandate, same with AIF. The AIF guys are professional guys. They're not builders, right? They're risk takers. Or no, I'll rephrase it. They're risk managers. We are risk takers. As a businessman, you take risk, right? I say it very funnily to people sometimes. Some of us are chala to sham tak warna chand tak kind of situation, but it's that innate रिस्क टेकिंग एपेटाइट दैट वी हैव कि यार देख लेंगे, कर लेते हैं, देख लेंगे, हो जाएगा, राइट? उसमें भी इन्फॉर्म्ड रिस्क एंड अनइन्फॉर्म्ड रिस्क एंड नॉलेजेबल रिस्क एंड ब्लाइंड रिस्क में फर्क होता है, राइट? बट अ मैंडेट कंपनी कम्स विद डेटा पॉइंट्स. दे आर नॉट लाइक बिल्डर्स. जैसे हाउ विल अ बिल्डर डिसाइड कौन सा बनाना है? अरे उधर वो 4 बेडरूम बिक रहा है, अपना भी 4 बेडरूम में बिकेगा. कितने में बिक रहा है, क्या वेलोसिटी में बिक रहा है, कब बिक रहा है, क्या भाव में बिक रहा है, सच्ची में बिक रहा है कि नहीं बिक रहा है, आपने देखा है क्या? मैंडेट कंपनी वो डेटा आपको दिखा देती है. सर ये एवरेज प्राइस पे बिका था, इतने में बिका था, इसने इतने साल में बेचा था.
So AIF companies also had
AIF
certain
companies bring
verticals,
that
right?
whole loop in together. जैसे हमारा कॉन्ट्रैक्टर, क्योंकि आपका कॉन्ट्रैक्टर अगर सही है आप उसे रखिए, नहीं सही है आप मेरा कॉन्ट्रैक्टर रखिए, मैं डायरेक्ट पेमेंट देता हूँ. Mandate company, because mandate company show them the average selling price of that locality, of that area or of that project, and say यार ये price ही achieve होगा, इससे ज़्यादा achieve नहीं होगा, right? And the AIF wants control, because they are pumping in money. Your project is stalled and they are pumping in money. Because if they pump in money blindly and there is no financial closure of the project, बैंक ने तो पैसा डाला था जो अटक गया, इसलिए AIF आ रहा है. अभी AIF डाल के भी अटक गया तो अभी AIF को कौन बेल आउट करेगा? AIF is technically a bailout project, right? So it needs to be managed professionally. And if you want a long-term vision, long-term goal, sometimes it's business. You make a loss, you take a risk, which doesn't pay off. Okay, you burnt your fingers, get up, dust yourself, work again. Eventually, that should happen.
Right.
right? There are guys who make losses, but that doesn't mean they're wrong people.
Mm.
Market didn't support you. You built the wrong thing at the wrong time, right?
Mm.
WhatsApp became WhatsApp in our country. Other products did not work. Right place, right time sort
True.
of a situation, right? And the
Mm.
same applies to real estate. Pre-COVID 4,000 फुट का 4 बेडरूम नहीं बिकता था.
Mm.
लोग बोलते थे पागल हो गए क्या.
Mm.
पोस्ट कोविड 4,000 फुट में 3 बेडरूम चाहिए लोगों को कि वी वांट स्पेस.
Yeah.
Simple as that, right? You would have made, we faced through it in Thana when we
Mm.
built those bigger houses. People said, "इतना बड़ा घर में कौन रहेगा? पागल है क्या? बंगलों में नहीं रहूं."
Mm.
Right? Uh, but we pumped in our own money. We built the project. We could sustain it.
Mm.
The moment we were in COVID and 6 months where the first lockdown eased,
Mm.
things got sold off because now people want space. People don't want bangla.
Yeah.
जैसे बॉस इधर घुटन होती है, हम अकेले हैं,
Mm.
मैं बिल्डिंग में रहता हूँ, स्पेस भी मेरी खुद की हो गई,
और
कम्युनिटी
community.
लिविंग का कम्युनिटी लिविंग हो गया, राइट?
Yeah.
मुझे कुछ हो गया तो कोई नेबर तो आके हेल्प करेगा,
Right.
राइट? सो पीपल स्टार्टेड मूविंग इनटू दैट 4,000 स्क्वायर फीट होम. पहले लोग बोलते थे 4,000 फुट का घर थाने में, तुम पागल हो गए हो गया. आज यही हो गया ना. सो इट इज द राइट टाइमिंग. अगर मैं 2022 में विराज टावर लॉन्च करता, वी वुड हैव सोल्ड आउट बाय 2 नाउ, राइट? बिकॉज हमने 2019 में विराज टावर लॉन्च किया, hence we took longer, right? Because at that time 4,000 square feet का घर नहीं बिकता था.
Yeah.
So it is the right timing, and you can never time anything in real estate. So you have to get professional help.
Mm.
Could be data companies, where you trace, track, take a judgment call कि खार बंडा सैंडविच में क्या बिक रहा है, कितने बिक रहा है, कहाँ बिक रहा है. Because you forget that it's not just a primary market real estate. There is a massive secondary market also in it, right? For every new apartment, there are two old or old only apartments. Let's put it that way. You can't call them second home or second-hand homes. Every one apartment sold, there could be two or three old apartments being sold.
Yeah.
Right? So you are not just facing competition from 10 other redevelopment projects or 10 other affordable housing projects. You are also facing competition from your last project that you delivered. Like in Kalyan, Raunak City Sector 6 does not face competition from 5 other builders in the vicinity. Sector 2, Sector 3 and Sector 4 is also my competition.
Yeah.
Because the guy who comes to buy says, ठीक है, आपका ये भाव है, मेरे को रेडी वाला थोड़ा सस्ते में मिलता है, मैं वो ले लेता हूँ, या तो सेम प्राइस में मिलता है, मैं वो ले लेता हूँ, राइट? सो वी नीड प्रोफेशनल हेल्प for us to manage the show better, for us to take more informed decisions.
Right.
And you cannot hire so many people.
True.
Because then your salaries increase. You might as well, how do you put it, outsource it.
Outsource it. Yeah.
So that is the whole idea, and hence I think you will see a lot. You'll go back in time. You will not see big organizations by size. You will see big organizations by turnover and growth.
Yeah.
Right? You will see an organization doing X crores of turnover, but having only a 30 people core team.
True.
Because everything else can be outsourced.
True.
Eventually, that's the plan.
Yeah.
And we will go there. And once we reach that tipping point, right, technology will become cheaper. I have that gut feeling technology will become cheaper because then the use case increases drastically.
Yeah.
An analog can afford SAP, but let's say Elements can't afford SAP. A Raunak Group can afford SAP. Elements can't afford SAP. Same company, same owner, same everything, right? Why can't an Elements not afford it, but a Raunak Group can? Because I've got a higher turnover, higher everything. Here I've got a lower turnover. I cannot afford that 2, 3, 4 crore rupee of SAP.
Yeah.
So that tipping point will be hit very soon. We will hit that tipping point very soon.
So the recent report by CBRE had quoted that 10 months or 2023 has seen 97% of surge in demand for the luxury homes above 4 crore and onwards. Do you see this trend increasing further in the next year 2024, and why do you see such trend has gained momentum for this particular year?
Uh, this year has been an anomaly. This is the second year post the COVID hangover.
Mm.
2020, 21, we got out of the COVID hangover. 22, 23, markets bounced back. A lot of people made good capital. Um, Luckily enough, because the way the government handled the COVID situation, India got insulated a lot, right,
Mm.
compared to the rest of the world.
Yeah.
So because we got insulated, a lot of money flew in. Things became good for
Mm.
everybody, right? Eventually, after a long time, India reached that tipping point of young kids, mature adults, and older generation where your consumption reached at a peak. I think we are still there. We've got a decade of peak ahead of us.
Mm.
Uh, People had that YOLO moment. So it all converged together, right?
Mm.
अपना consumption at an all-time high था. दुनिया का consumption कम हो गया. So then Indian companies started that whole Make in India movement with the government did. The Indian companies started promoting a lot of their goods. Western countries had a bit of an issue.
Mm.
So those guys started promoting a lot of stuff in India. Um, Apple opening its first Indian store gives you that clean, clear indication, right,
Mm.
about luxury goods and demands. If an Apple is opening it, that means luxury homes will be sold. Only reason being
Mm.
YOLO movement, right?
Right.
I started speaking to my father, saying, "Papa, means what are you working for? What are we living for? If we don't have a bigger house,
Mm.
when is that baad mein karenge moment, right?"
Mm.
So, like me having a conversation with my father, a lot of other kids had,
Mm.
and they said, "यार बड़ा कर लेते हैं, साथ में वापस रहते हैं."
Mm.
Right? Post COVID, people started realizing that न्यूक्लियर फैमिली से वापस ज्वाइन करते हैं, बड़ा कर लेते हैं, दो अलग घर चलाना सच्चा एक लेते हैं.
Mm.
That is that surge that you see, right? uh, I think this year will still continue to see that surge because our
Mm.
population is pretty big. We have still that gas left in the tank for that consumption,
Mm.
because a house is one such thing, right,
Mm.
that once consumed, for the consumer to become a consumer again, or the home buyer to become a consumer again,
Yeah.
the gestation period is the longest. It's not
Mm.
like a car which is 3-5 years as a thumb rule average.
Mm.
A house goes to 10-15 years, right?
Mm.
The only reason I'm saying 10-15 is because then your kids grow older if you have kids, and then they need their own space, and then from a 2 bedroom you need a 3, or from a 3 you need a 4, and a 4 you need a 5, right?
Yeah.
But it's a 10-15 year age gap.
Mm.
uh, Hence I said this year we will see a lot of that.
Mm.
But then you might see a flat line towards it, right? Because majority would have taken those big apartments and big
Yeah.
homes.
Yeah.
Also, what happened, I think, single floor plate big homes sold faster than
Mm.
duplex homes.
Mm.
If you were giving somebody 6,000 or 4,000 square feet on one floor versus 2,000 foot ka do floor, that 4,000 sold more,
Yeah.
and at a bigger price, is because a duplex has a great feel,
Mm.
right? But beyond the stage, it gets annoying for a lot of people. think कितना ऊपर नीचे करेंगे,
Yeah.
right? That all culminated together,
Mm.
according to me, right? Joint family system coming back in,
Mm.
people moving closer to each other. A lot of those movements,
Mm.
I think, culminated into luxury housing or above 5 crore rupee apartments being bought. The data also showed that the stamp duty increase is not just a primary home buyers. There were a lot of secondary homes that were sold and bought.
Mm.
That means people upgraded. That
Mm.
means people who had 2 bedrooms moved to a three. People who had 2-3 bedrooms moved to a big 6 bedroom. Right?
Yeah.
I think this will still continue for a year more, because a lot of people are still looking at bigger properties, because there is still that growth story which is there in the country. India is poised towards a long-term growth story.
Mm.
The micro, macro, both economics are working in our favor, right?
Mm.
Western world slowing down helps India. It is now about seizing the opportunity and the moment, right?
Mm.
If production continues the way it is going to, development continues the way it is going to, that means people are going to make money. Uh, if that cycle is intact over the next
Mm.
5 years,
Mm.
um, these data will seem minuscule the next year, will seem much more minuscule the year after that, right?
Mm.
All of this is thanks to that COVID syndrome,
Yeah.
because people realize that, yeah, आज ही है जीना, कल नहीं होता है. Right? I can never wait for that right opportune moment to buy my big dream home.
Yeah.
Because I cannot wait for it, the moment I have identified a project or a house, I work towards that goal over the next 6, 8, 12 months, buy that house. Right? Next year, people who are going to buy these houses over the next 12 months from the calendar year, those conversations have already happened in the past 2, 3 months. People are figuring out their finances, either selling some stocks because that's appreciated, or selling some old apartments because they've appreciated. But it is a 4-month process from identifying a project to booking a project to registering a project. So I think we are poised where uh, more luxury homes will be sold than last year, because more projects are going to be delivered next year as well, right?
Yeah.
So it's not a one-off case. It might not be in that 93%, 95% number, but because आपने पहले 100 बेचे थे और अभी आप 1000 बेच रहे हो, तो आपको वो 100x ग्रोथ दिखता है.
Yeah.
आप जब वो 1000 का 1200 भी बेचते हो वापस, right? That 1200 more is a bigger figure. It's not just 200 more, right? Because always understand, जो 1200 नए फ्लैट्स बिक रहे हैं, उसमें 1200 या 1500 पुराने फ्लैट्स भी बिक रहे हैं, कोई ना कोई तो खरीद रहा है.
Yeah.
Right? So that consumption pattern will continue, I think.
So this data which I spoke about, the 97% surge we saw, was a complete from Indian major cities.
Right.
But when we talk about Mumbai real estate market, right? जो डेटा ने बोला है 4 crore से above is considered in luxury, but when it comes to Mumbai market, we consider 2 crore in affordable.
Right.
So how would you see the trend happening when it comes to luxury homes in Mumbai?
Luxury homes in Mumbai in different micro markets is different. Borivali, Kandili, Malad, the price of 5 crores is a luxury home, right?
Yeah.
Khar, Bandra, Santa Cruz, Juhu could be 12 crores or 6 crores, 8 crores, depending upon 1,000 square foot 2 bedroom is also luxury compared to a 600 square foot 2 bedroom. Let's put it that way, right? Bombay is one such weird anomaly जहाँ पे आप कोठियां नहीं बनाते हो, राइट? आप वो डुप्लेक्स ट्रिप्लेक्स या 10,000 फुट एक फ्लोर प्लेट पे लेते हो, और वैसे प्रोजेक्ट्स बहुत कम है. लोढ़ा मलाबार वाज इन द न्यूज द लास्ट होल ईयर, राइट? 1,25,000, 1,30,000, 1,15,000, stuff like that. But that project is an anomaly. That doesn't mean that whole stretch एक 25 पे बिकता है. लोढ़ा मलाबार एक 25 पे बिकता है बिकॉज वो 3,000 से लेके 7,000 का फ्लोर प्लेट देता है. How many such projects in South Bombay have you seen which give us 7,000 square feet single floor plate? They don't, right? So it is very micro market centric, and within the micro market, it is project centric. Like I'll give you an example. When I said that in Elements, we are not just looking at building 700 and 1,000 square meter plots. We're looking at combining 2,000 square meter plots or 3,700 square meter plots and making a 2,200 square meter plot और उसके ऊपर घर बना रहा है. So when I make a 700 square meter पे house, my house is like this, like a train. वही अगर मैं 2,100 square meter पे करता हूँ, like a proper rectangle, my house becomes broader. A broader house, east-west facing, 5,000 square feet on a single floor plate could fetch me a higher buyer, right? Who's willing to pay that price, saying, I can have a lavish 4 bedroom and 5,000 square feet, like 2 homes, one side being for the father, mother, the other side being for the son and their wife, right? और उसी में अगर the son gets kids or whatever, within that 5,000 square feet, they can build another bedroom because they've broken down some rooms or not some rooms and live their life peacefully, right? So it is going to be an anomaly, and you are seeing a trend in Mumbai real estate which is not seen elsewhere within the country, where you have a lot of, how do you say, flexi homes in luxury, right? That is one thing which is very, very important, where you're given a floor plate of, let's say, 3,000 square foot. The sale plan shows it as 5 bedroom, but the consumer can make anywhere from a 1 to a 5. Right? Now that flexibility that a buyer gets, he's willing to pay that extra premium, because your requirement of space versus my requirement of space is drastically different. True. And because हमारे यहाँ पे वो कोटी सिस्टम नहीं है जो रेस्ट ऑफ द कंट्री में है, uh, like a 1 hour flight away in Pune, Koti system works, right? Let's those bungalow system. 2 hour flight Ahmedabad, Delhi, Chandigarh.
Yeah.
You don't have these high rises. High rises are only mid to affordable homes, and bungalows are where the true rich homes are built, right? Because you don't have that in Bombay, you got into this flexor system. The height matters. 10.5 foot is no longer luxury. 11.5, 12, 12.5 foot is considered luxury, right? So these are those things which will trigger the next set of, how do you say, consumption in luxury homes.
So tell me, you talk about micro market, right? When we say Khar Bandra, there are prices going like 55,000 to 60,000 per square feet. Don't
That
you?
is a very small plot. Huh?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that is just the starting. As a first time home buyer from youngsters whom we are seeing the investments are coming in the tier 2 cities or even metro cities, in a Mumbai market, and if you see the youngsters are not willing to buy because they feel it's such a rent bhar dunga, I stay in Worli, pay 2 lakhs and not have a house and have a good house in my maybe another metro city. Don't you think we are uh, spoiling the market by putting a exorbitant
No,
kind of per square feet rate?
no, I'm sorry to cut you, but no, I'll tell you why.
Hmm.
It is not exorbitant rate. Again,
How do you define this rate? Where the starting comes from 55 to 65,000 just because you're from Khar or
no,
Bandra?
it's not that. It's the cost of
Yeah.
acquisition. There are projects in Mahavir Nagar,
Hmm.
right? Kandivali, brilliant location. There are projects that are selling at 50,000 a square foot in Mahavir Nagar. How do you justify that? Now look at it in that perspective, saying Mahavir Nagar, Kandivali West, if I'm paying 50,000 rupees a square foot, Khar West,
Hmm.
50,000 is affordable. It is now a matter saying that, again,
Hmm.
development size क्या है, आप height क्या दे रहे हो, आप flexibility क्या दे रहे हो, not in the payment flexibility but in the overall development flexibility, right? All of those define the price because the cost also goes up. Please try
Is
and
it
understand.
also defining because the kind of land you're purchasing? जैसे आधे developers बोलते हैं हमने 100 crore में तो land लिया है.
That's true.
Now we are going to build
It is
on
going to
that.
happen, and in redevelopment, because it's a hot race today, and both of us are vying for this piece of land. I bid 30%, you'll bid 33. I bid 34, you'll bid 36. Right? So your purchasing is expensive. Because your purchasing is expensive, your selling is expensive. It will flatten out, it will average out, right? I'm not justifying the high prices. High prices come because of hyperinflation, because of a weird demand supply mismatch. For the first time in a really long time, there's a higher demand for luxury home. I'll not use the word luxury homes. There's a higher demand for bigger square footage homes than there is supply of bigger square footage homes, right? It is a very very different market where
Right.
1,000 foot के 3 bedrooms in Kharbanda Santa Cruz are a dime a dozen. पर 4,000 फुट का सिंगल फ्लोर प्लेट इज गिन के 4 प्रोजेक्ट, right? Now buyers are 8, projects are 4, so that means 4 flats.
Yeah.
Right? That means each one of us know कि बाजू वाले का बिकने के बाद भी मेरे प्रोडक्ट का तो प्राइस आने ही वाला है, मैं रुकता हूँ. एंड द बायर्स नो दैट यार इन्वेंट्री बहुत लिमिटेड है, मैं अगर आज नहीं लूंगा या मैं 3 दिन रुकूंगा तो प्रॉब्लम हो जाएगा, राइट? So it is that mismatch which is fueling the price. One.
Right.
Coming to your point of rental yield, luxury, non-luxury, मैं लुधियाना में फ्लैट ले लिया because well I see something is developing there, कुछ तो हो रहा है, तो मैं पंजाब से हूँ, मैंने लुधियाना में ले लिया. Good, great. पर मैं काम बम्बई में कर रहा हूँ, मैं भाड़े पे रहूंगा, मैं ईएमआई लुधियाना के लिए भर रहा हूँ, वो फ्लैट के लिए या वो जमीन के लिए या बंगलो के लिए, पर मैं रह रहा बम्बई में हूँ. It is wealth destruction and not wealth creation, right? You're buying a plot of land or a bungalow or something here, thinking इसको तो मैं सस्ता मिल रहा है, मैं लीज कर दूंगा. नहीं यार, your parents don't stay in Ludhiana. If your parents stay in Ludhiana or in Chandigarh or wherever, for example, and you're working in Bombay and you buy a house for them, bigger house, upgrade them, great, that's investment, right? But if you're saying that I will buy a house, why would I give away in Ludhiana? I'll buy a house in Pune. बिकॉज रेंटल यील्ड ऑफ पुणे इज बेटर. पर मैं यहाँ पे भाड़े पे रहता हूँ. ये आप घर अपने पैसे से ले रहे हो या लोन से ले रहे हो? अगर आप लोन से ले रहे हो तो आप दो जगह पे ईएमआई भर रहे हो. एक जगह पे एसेट बन रही है जिसको आप फ्यूचर में रेंट पे डालोगे, फ्यूचर में सब कुछ करोगे और आप होप कर रहे हो कि रेंट पे जाएगी.
But you would also say appreciation I would get from out of that. In
Be a smarter
comparison.
player. बस बॉम्बे
Hmm.
as one part of the micro market of India is seeing a lot of growth. Gujarat has Ahmedabad, which is seeing a lot of growth. Gift City is seeing a lot of growth, right? All of these places, yes, things are getting expensive, but the smarter players, what they do is, or smarter investors, or small time investors, or however you want to call it, what they do is, because redevelopment is picking up in Bombay, right? You get into older apartments or older buildings, buy a house, hope that that project goes in for redevelopment, and you get more bang for your buck. You don't buy a plot of land in Gift City today as an investor. You buy a plot of land outside of Gift City because you know
Yeah.
that जिस दिन Gift City बन जाएगा, periphery का market बढ़ने ही वाला है, right?
True.
I don't have the budget for Gift City, so I should
Hmm.
not be stupid enough to buy it in Gift City or somewhere very far off, which will be Gift City too. I buy in that 5 kilometer radius of Gift City, saying ये बन जाने दे, फिर उधर तो रोड बनना ही है ना, या होटल तो बनना ही है ना, तो रेस्टोरेंट या कुछ तो बनना है ना, मैं उधर घर लेता हूँ. दैट इज अ स्मार्ट मूव. बट द स्मार्टर मूव इज मैं बंबई में रह के गिफ्ट सिटी में प्लॉट नहीं ले सकता हूँ. हाउ डू आई नो वेदर माई हाउस इज बीइंग मेंटेन्ड? अब यहाँ से पूना भी जाते हो, हाउ डू यू नो कि वो घर भाड़े पे चढ़ने वाला है? यू आर रिलाइंग ऑन अ लोकल ब्रोकर, यू आर नॉट देयर एवरी डे, यू आर नॉट कॉलिंग हिम एवरी डे, यू आर बिजी इन योर ओन वर्क. घर ताला पड़ के बंद पड़ा है. Then a lot of people complain, अरे भाड़े पे नहीं गया, मार्केट अच्छा नहीं है, मैं बेच देता हूँ, पैसा नहीं आ रहा है. That's a desperation move. It's like the stock market, but on a long-term gestation period, right? You can get a one bedroom in Khar for let's say 3 crore rupees. Pretty expensive, right? You're getting it for 3 crore rupees. You know why? Because that building is going to go in for redevelopment. Your 400 square foot apartment will become, let's say, 30% more, right? So your 400 at 3 crores will become 520 at 3 crore rupees.
Yeah.
Now, what is the value of that 520 versus the 400? You know what I mean?
But this is where my question comes in, right? When you're talking about prices, अभी आपके माइक्रो मार्केट में ज्यादातर रीडेवलपमेंट ही होंगे.
हाँ.
A person who's been staying there for more than maybe 10 years or maybe 2 decades also, then they will get that kind of appreciation because redevelopment में गया है
नहीं.
building, right?
नहीं. With the way development and redevelopment is happening in those micro markets, you will see a phase where development will stop. You've reached the peak of FSI utilization.
Yeah.
There was a statistics that I was reading. It was a very funny statistics, and it's been within our lifetime. Let's put it that way. When my father started real estate, it was one FSI, right? In his career, that one became 1.5 with floating FSI. Then that 1.5 became 2 with the whole use of TDR. That 2 became 3, right? With incentive and fungible and everything coming into play. That 3 has now become 5 or 6, depending upon the scheme that you take. There's something known as 3311 or 3320B, which is in talks. One is a slum scheme, one is a BMC scheme, right? So you have seen in 40 years, one or 40 years, one jumping to 5, right? But the funniest part is now it looks बराबर है कि 40 साल में एक का 5 हो गया तो हर डेकेड में कुछ ग्रोथ हुआ.
Yeah.
1 का 3 होने को 3 डेकेड लगे थे.
Yeah.
राइट. 3 का 6 होने को 1 डेकेड लगा है. अभी 1 डेकेड में आपकी रोड बन गया, मेट्रोस बन गया, 3 का 6 हो गया. 6 का 12 कब होगा? In a redevelopment project, a normal thumb rule states 50-50. Okay, whatever is the plot area, however those guys are using, those existing members, 50% should be existing members के पास area, 50% आपके पास होना चाहिए as a developer, so that you can recover your cost of construction, rent, corpus, approvals, as a normal thumb rule, right? Sea facing apartment है, you want to make a landmark project, बड़ा plot है, you might share it at a 60-40 ratio. 60% सोसाइटी को दे देते हैं
Hmm.
because there'll be a lot of bidders for it. 40% मैं retain करता हूँ, right?
Hmm.
Because that is also the risk appetite of that developer.
True.
Now, if you follow that same thumb rule of
Hmm.
60-40, you're at 6 FSI, which has been utilized, which in, let's say, if I start a project today, 2024 is already starting. In 4 years or 3 years, I'll complete the project. So 2027, I hand over the OC.
Hmm.
When does that 2027 wala building go in for redevelopment?
After maybe 30-40 years.
Right?
Yeah.
That means your stock of luxury homes
Hmm.
will flatten out, will actually go negative
Hmm.
because there will be no new redevelopment happening.
True.
Because there is no new redevelopment happening, that means primary market sale
Hmm.
stops. If primary market sale stops, secondary market starts commanding the price.
True.
And secondary market price, if there are 5 of us in this room, depends from person to person need, wants, and requirements and desires.
Hmm.
As a developer, I want to sell and churn my cash flow. As a Kritika, an investor, you might not want to sell a house. Then what happens? Then somebody has to make you an offer that you can't refuse.
Hmm.
And we will reach that tipping point in a decade. Within a decade, majority of stuff will be redeveloped. The stuff that is not redeveloped will be smaller plots.
Hmm.
Nobody wants to touch those plots. What do you do then? You will have a New York kind of or a Manhattan kind of a situation where, or a Tokyo kind of a situation, or a San Fran kind of a Chicago, right? All those micro markets in a suburb, you will have those situations
Hmm.
where यार खार में तो कुछ मिल ही नहीं रहा है या मलाबार हिल में कुछ बन ही नहीं रहा है फॉर द लॉन्गेस्ट टाइम इन मलाबार हिल पुराने बिल्डिंग में 80,000 का भाव चल रहा था
Hmm.
90,000 का भाव चल रहा था क्योंकि बिल्डिंग ही नहीं टूट रही थी
Yeah.
अब नई बिल्डिंग एक 25 हो गया तो पुराने बिल्डिंग पे 75 हो गया क्योंकि लोग बोलते हैं यार ये क्या है यार टूटी फूटी है लिफ्ट नहीं है
Hmm.
पहले लिफ्ट के बिना भी आप लाख रुपए देते थे ना बिकॉज मैं यहीं पे रहता हूँ मेरे को बाजू वाला एक फ्लैट चाहिए तो आप
Hmm.
कन्वीनियंस के हिसाब से देते थे क्योंकि ऑप्शन नहीं था
Hmm.
राइट अब आपको ऑप्शन है तो आप दे रहे हो मलाबार हिल पे लिमिटेड फ्लैट्स हैं
Hmm.
लॉट ऑफ इट हैज पेपर वर्क इश्यूज लैंडलॉर्ड इश्यूज टेनेंट इश्यूज राइट वो सॉल्व होते होते 20 साल लग जाते हैं 20 साल बाद वो प्रोजेक्ट कब डेवलप होगा कब टूटेगा
Hmm.
कब बनेगा
Hmm.
तो आज जो है वो ले लो राइट खारबांडा सैंडी क्रूज में वो इशू ही नहीं है खारबांडा सैंडी क्रूज whenever you go for a drive next time check it out
Hmm.
every alternate building is broken down that means in an average of broken down building to a newer building breaking down let's say what we've taken
Hmm.
you're looking at 5 years right my project starts next year 4 years from now it gets handed over life is over so you're looking at an average of 5 years
Hmm.
you've reached peak point then the supply just keeps on going down your demand will increase
Yeah.
my kids will grow older. Today, 4,000 square feet is enough for me. But with my kids growing older, their requirements reaching their peak, I will need a bigger house. Where do I get a 5,000 square feet house? I won't. I'll have to come to you because you have bought that and I'll have to purchase it from you. You might not want to sell it at an X price, you'll quote me a Y price. A developer I know has 10 flats, तो
Hmm.
मैं पहले 4 ले लेता हूँ तो वो उसका कॉस्ट निकल जाता है
Hmm.
आपके पास तो एक ही फ्लैट है so you will only see the price peak from now. That's why there's this frenzy of the ultra rich purchasing properties again.
Yeah.
Because they can see that curve coming in, saying that boss, अब grade A residential development बहुत limited बचे हैं जो बच्चे ले लेते हैं
Hmm.
right then we will trade in it because now that stock is literally finite and limited once the coastal road is done, right, you have reached the end of Mumbai.
Hmm.
Now, for the government to reclaim more land, has to go above and beyond the coastal road, which is never going to happen.
Hmm.
How do you go beyond that side of the road, right? So now you have actually set a boundary to Mumbai with the
Hmm.
coastal road, saying, अब मुंबई वेस्ट में तो ग्रो ही नहीं हो सकता
Hmm.
तो आप ग्रो किधर होगे नॉर्थ साउथ तो आप बंद हो दैट इज दैट अनॉमली विच इज मुंबई right? Because you look at Thana, you look at Kalyan. I'm developing 40-story buildings in Kalyan. A sleepy town where 7 माले की buildings नहीं बनती थी
Hmm.
4 माले में खत्म होता था लोड बेरिंग स्ट्रक्चर पे हम कल्याण में 2000 we entered what 2010 right no 2018 we entered Kalyan sorry 2010 so I started in that phase from a 7-story to a 15-story to a 40-story project right who would have thought that within a decade or so you're building 40-story buildings in Kalyan because land is restricted
Yeah.
right uh, same thing is going to happen with Kharbanda Santa Cruz Juhu Juhu sees a spurt and a price high more than Kharbanda Santa Cruz because bungalows जितने भी थे सब टूट गए अभी जो bungalows बाकी हैं those are with the extremely wealthy guys or actors and they don't want to let go of their privacy right so because they don't want to let go of their privacy that means those many bungalows are less that means that much less product being made so we are at that tipping point where you will start seeing luxury homes dwindling in supply.
So when it comes to redevelopment societies, I'm sure you must be also having a checklist apart from just location. I understand builders have this location matters.
Yeah,
But
real estate, so
so
location always.
in redevelopment, does even society matters?
It does.
So how do you have what kind of checklist do you have when you are selecting a
It
society?
is no checklist, but for me, it's time value of money. Let's put it that way. Right? I consider Elements a startup because it's brand new. That means I have a lot more time in my hand to take care of a lot of societies. Right? Their problems I can solve. Their issues I want to resolve. They want to meet me, I'll go meet them multiple times. Will I be able to do this when I have 10 societies, 12 societies in hand? No, because my time is limited, right? So then I will look at societies which are quicker, faster in the decision making, but at a good location, right? So it will be based from developer to developer. I am a Thana builder who's entering Kharbanda Santa Cruz. There will be a Borivali builder who'll enter Kharbanda Santa Cruz. For his first 3, 4, 5 projects, he might pick up any society, do whatever it is. कि ये अच्छा लोकेशन है मैं ले लेता हूँ कुछ भी हो जाए मेरे पास बहुत टाइम है बट एट द सिक्स्थ ही विल देन वांट टू कंजर्व हिज एनर्जी सेइंग यार बहुत हो गया जो नाम बनाना था दिखाना था कर लिया अब अच्छा ही जाना है राइट सो इट इज अ मिक्स एंड मैच ऑफ as a developer your needs and wants right because redevelopment is not like open land we've done open land we do open land I buy open land I decide when to build it right I decide how to build it I decide what to build on it redevelopment takes if you are lucky anywhere from a year to 2.5 years sometimes 3 depending upon if there are problems within the society and their land and their approvals 3 years before you break down a building and then 3 years of you breaking them down and rehousing them right because now there are restrictions in the timings works that you can do and how you can work so you're looking at one project taking an average of 4 to 5 years in a normal man's lifestyle or a lifetime how many such 5 years can he give I can at max do 5 projects at a time. Let's put it that way, right? Because in redevelopment, they want to meet you as a developer, right? If you're a corporate, you can hand it over to your team. But as a redevelopment expert, if I have to brand myself, my face time is more important to them. Saying that मैं डेवलपर के साथ बैठ के आया उसने हाँ बोल दिया ना हो जाएगा क्योंकि कभी कभी क्या होता है ना कॉर्पोरेट वो टीम ने हाँ बोल दिया फिर बोला अरे सर वो मैनेजमेंट ने कॉल अलग ले लिया सॉरी right that is happening in a lot of these corporations they are realizing that redevelopment is ultra specialization you need a really top notch guy sitting there staying through the process with you for at least a decade to a decade and a half right whereas an entrepreneur you're the company is you are the company so 5 years if I do 5 societies in another 5 years I'll do another 5 societies so that means if I'm 40 till the time I'm 50 I have done 10 societies at 51 how much of a struggle would it be to talk to 5 societies right because your life needs wants are different so hence this cycle is going to change from age to age as a second generation I have a lot more time on my hand If my third generation were to join in, they'll have a lot more time on their hand. But
Yeah.
my father doesn't have that time. He doesn't. At 75, my father is not going to give in 14-hour, 15-hour, 16-hour work days. He'll have a 6-hour work day, right? As a 22-year-old, I used to work for 18 hours in a day. I used to just go home to sleep, come back to Thana.
Mm.
But as a 38-year-old, I can't do that, right?
Mm.
So the location is important, but how quickly is the society moving forward is much more important. नाम बनाना है, एलिमेंट्स का बोर्ड डालना है, 4 सोसाइटी ले ली, ठीक है, 5वीं सोसाइटी में मैं भी सोचूंगा दिस इज टू मच ऑफ एफर्ट, छोड़ देते हैं। आई हैव 4 एंड हैंड ना, उसको कंप्लीट करता हूँ, 5वीं अपने आप आएगी। सो इट इज योर रिक्वायरमेंट के बेस पे, देयर इज नो thumb rule checklist. Mine can change from my neighbors.
So when we see a lot of townships and a lot of projects like those coming in, unnecessary amenities are provided. So when it comes to redevelopment society, what kind of amenities and what kind of checklist do you have?
It is not unnecessary. We build a lot of townships. Uh, it is a lot of those amenities are based on the lifestyle of the people, right? In townships
Demographic
also,
wise.
demographic wise. A pool is a pool is a pool, right? Just like location, location, location. You might not use a pool, but you would want a pool in your complex.
Are we talking about swimming pool or plunge pool? Because that also is showing as a
Plunge-ish swimming pool, let's put it that way, not an Olympic size pool, depending on the size. Uh, but a pool, a good size pool, let's put it that way, right? Within that 500 flats, that pool is very, very small, right?
Yeah.
But if you were to build that big pool, उस पे कोई पानी नहीं भरता है, because that is becomes your last criteria कि गाड़ी धोने के लिए पानी रख, पूल के लिए मत रख. बट आप पूल नहीं बनाते हो, अच्छा आपके पास पूल नहीं है. See, these are the questions that the consumer is always asking that developer, because वो दूसरे 4 बिल्डर का सुन के आता है तो बोलता है मेरे को तो पूल चाहिए. Very few are those educated guys who are thinking कि यार पूल ठीक है, मेंटेनेंस क्या है बॉस, मेंटेनेंस पूछ, राइट? हर साल वो देना है घर लेने के बाद. पूल में तो मैं साल में 1 बार जाऊंगा, 2 बार जाऊंगा, मेंटेनेंस क्या है? सो इट चेंजेस डेमोग्राफिक वाइज. Even a Kharbanda Santa Cruz, because you have these clubs there, an Otters or a Khar gym or a Bandra gym, the requirement of pools are limited, right? But as a status symbol, a pool is needed.
So you're saying even in luxury redevelopment societies, the customer do demand for pools.
They don't demand, but a water body, in your words, could be a half lap pool, depending on the plot size, could be just a small jacuzzi-ish pool, right? Adds value to the product, adds value to your home, because it's not me going in a pool. Please try and understand. If I have 2 young kids, I don't have those 2 hours to get down from my house, go to an Otters, bathe, bring them back home, right? अच्छा ठीक है यार, you want to just splash around in the pool, बच्चों का kids pool नीचे है, right? जाओ आधा घंटा खेल के वापस आप लिफ्ट में ऊपर आ गए. So it is more on the convenience factor. Why is a gym required in a housing society? Means every lane of Mumbai has 5 gyms, right? Why do housing societies still give gyms? It is now your time that matters, right? Beyond money, time is the most valuable asset that we have, right? So what we as developers are doing in terms of providing those amenities, it's not that amenity or how big or small the pool is or gym is or a conference room is or a banquet is. It is the convenience of you using that facility. I want to host a small birthday party for my family, or a get together, Raksha Bandhan get together for my family. I don't need a 50,000 square foot hall. I need a 1,000 square foot hall, right? जहाँ पे मुझे घर पे नहीं बनाना है, नीचे रखना है.
Yeah.
Is it there in a project? Yes. If it's there, does it cause convenience in my life? Yes. And people are willing to pay for convenience. And convenience is luxury. Can I save my time? Yes. Meeting rooms, do I need a home office? No, because projects are providing now meeting rooms, right? Fully managed, catered cafes with meeting rooms. Can I host somebody downstairs, finish off, come back up home? Yes, I can. That means I don't need to drive to my office in Thane or in BKC, right? I can just finish it here, go back up. So it's on convenience. Amenities are now being provided as per convenience. Kids play area garden, आप जॉगर्स पार्क जाइए ना, गाड़ी में जाओ, जॉगर्स पार्क जाओ, वापस आओ, पार्किंग करो, लंबा हो जाता है. छोटा किड्स प्ले एरिया है, बच्चों ने 1 घंटा खेल लिया, वापस ऊपर आ गए. So amenities are based on the plot size and the convenience that it causes, and that is what people are willing to pay for, not for the size of the pool. It's the convenience, because he knows he's not going to go swimming. People who want to go swimming are members of Kharjim Khan or an Otters club. They wake up at 6 in the morning, go finish some laps, come back, shower, go to work. You are now looking at your kids' convenience, saying वो स्कूल से आ रहा है, नीचे थोड़ा स्प्लैश व्लैश कर लिया, थोड़ा स्विमिंग विमिंग सीख लिया, वापस ऊपर चढ़ गया, पड़वड़ लिया, सो गया, कल वापस स्कूल चले गए. Right? You're paying for that convenience, and that is how amenities are planned.
True. So, lastly, I want to ask you, how do you see the recent changes in the development control rules, specifically allowing the use or transfer of development rights without indexation in Dharavi development project, influencing Mumbai real estate dynamics? So, with this provision mandating builders to acquire 40% of their TDR from the Dharavi project. So, what shift do you anticipate from the builder perspective in terms of strategies and overall, market landscape?
It's a good and a bad thing, right? Uh, it's a good thing because, well, for Dharavi to develop and the landscape of Mumbai to change, Dharavi upgrading is very, very important.
Yeah.
It's a negative because of the 40% requirement, right? That means an entity controls your cost. Uh, if you tie my hands and my legs and put me in the ocean, I can be Michael Phelps, but I will never be able to swim, right? Uh, that 40% does that to us. Yes, there is a waiver from the indexation, helps us factor in some part of the cost, but if you are the sole seller of one particular item, which you know that the whole world wants, would you control the pricing? If you would that make my stuff more expensive? Yes, it does. Then how do I try and give affordable luxury or affordable homes? So yes, we understand that Dharavi is a key integral part to unlocking or reshaping Mumbai, right? But 40% is a bit too much, right? It should come with a guidance or a guideline saying use Dharavi TDR. Let's say if they were to say use 100% Dharavi TDR, done. But what is the incentive that I get for using the 100% Dharavi TDR? Because if the normal TDR is going to cost me 100 rupees and Dharavi is going to cost me 130, that's a 30% hike, right? How do I get compensated for the 30% hike? Because there's one entity, it's not the government selling that, right? It's a private player selling it. And as I was telling you earlier, uh, once that luxury housing curve goes down, supply goes down, demand will still be there because families will keep on growing. People in Mumbai want to stay in Mumbai, people in Khar want to stay in Khar.
True.
Who controls that price? Not a builder who's looking at making money or trying to repay debt or whatever it is. It is an individual who bought it 100 rupees, has paid off their debts or done whatever, एंड सेल्स ठीक है, मैं मेरे घर में खुश हूँ, वो घर नहीं भी बिकता तो भी मुझे चलता है क्योंकि आज पैसे का जरूरत नहीं है, राइट? सो यू कंट्रोल दैट प्राइस एज एन इंडिविजुअल. नोबडी कैन कम टू यू एंड से कृतिका ये प्राइस गलत है, आपको इतने में बेचना चाहिए, आप इतना पैसे कैसे बना सकते हो, राइट? बिकॉज यू आर एन इंडिविजुअल, यू आर अ प्राइवेट सिटीजन. सेम अप्लाइज विद द धारावी थिंग. If I am forced to swim with my hands and legs tied, then it should be a 2 feet pool, right? Because at least I won't drown. If you're going to put me in the ocean and say, जा जी ले अपनी जिंदगी सिमरन, नहीं होता है. It will push up costs, and you will see a spike where either developers will increase the selling price, and we will face backlash because we are going to be blamed for all the troubles of the world, or you will see lesser development happening, which is also not helping their cause of the whole TDR being utilized, right?
Right.
So I hope that they rechange certain clauses.
But not related to this, I want to understand when you're talking about guidelines. There are association called CREDI and Narratco. When it comes to redevelopment projects, why don't we have a clear guidelines? Meaning, of course, recently we had heard from Shri Eknath Shinde also proposing that if the redevelopment society 51% of it agree, and if someone does not, you evict them. But I'm talking about more on the lines of when there are two, three developers running for one society, as you said, they must be competing.
Right.
In that competition, what happens? Slandering happens. In that competition, miscommunication happens. Society can also demand certain things, which certain developer can promise and cannot. Why don't we still have guidelines when it comes to redevelopment?
We can't, right? We are a capitalist. Yes, we are a democratic republic nation,
Hmm.
but eventually business is capitalism, right? How can a Naredco or a Credai
Hmm.
tell five builders bidding same इतने percentage से ऊपर मत देना? They can't put those terms. Again, individuals like you and me
Hmm.
cannot be curbed by the way we do business as long as it is legal, right?
Hmm.
Your risk appetite in car, let's say, would be to purchase at 100 rupees a square foot.
Hmm.
Mine could be at 103.
Hmm.
Somebody might have at 98. So we will stop then,
Hmm.
right? It's because of this that wealth creation also happens for the society member, right? Because three of us are competing for that plot.
Hmm.
The society guys know that there is a demand for that plot.
Yeah.
They will up their prices. It is
Hmm.
the best example of capitalism.
Hmm.
Um, any luxury product
Hmm.
today is far more expensive than what it was pre-COVID.
Hmm.
Why? It's not that production has gone down; they have controlled production, right? You could walk into a store, purchase a Rolex, come out
Hmm.
MRP, right? You could walk into a store, negotiate on a luxury car, an Audi, BMW, Mercedes.
Hmm.
Now you can't. Why? Because they say we don't want to produce more. That can happen
Hmm.
because uh, Mercedes controls an X percentage, BMW controls an X percentage, Audi controls an X percentage, right?
Hmm.
It cannot happen in real estate where there are 5,000 builders. Never. You can never have that. And it's a good thing you don't have that.
Hmm.
Because if you do, whatever conversation that we've been having, your real estate price will be 5 lakh rupees a square feet. Because there are only 5 guys building. Na chahiye to le, nahi chahiye to mat le.
Hmm.
Right? Because there are 50 people competing for that same land,
Yeah.
I am always fearful that Kritika might outbid me.
Hmm.
तो अगर मुझे चाहिए, I need to act fast, right? If there are just 5 of us, I can call you up and say, सुन ना, तूने 10 प्रोजेक्ट ले लिए हैं, तू रुक जा, मैं दूसरा 10 लेता हूँ, फिर उसको लेने देते हैं, फिर वापस तू 10 लेना.
Hmm.
So then the society is chasing you rather than you chasing the society. So this is a good thing. Uh, with regards to what you've clubbed with that 51%, that's in a positive light because a lot of redevelopment got stalled or gets stalled
Hmm.
because some people are just either too scared or want more and are more greedy,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
If we are 5 of us in a room and
Hmm.
4 agree to a certain thing, majority wins, right? If in an election for a country we have a majority rule,
Hmm.
why can't we have that for redevelopment? Why does it always have to be 100%?
Hmm.
A nation like ours runs elections, nation like the US runs elections. There's a tipping point, right? कि 53% हो गया तो ये सरकार नक्की हो गई. So the same rule has to apply for a housing society. You cannot let some one person say मुझे करना ही नहीं है because I have emotional attachment. Forget anything else. मैं
Hmm.
यहाँ पे पैदा हुआ था, ऐसे ही घर में पैदा हुआ था, मुझे ऐसे ही मरना है.
Hmm.
That doesn't mean he stalls redevelopment for the 15 other people,
Hmm.
right? The building is breaking down, maintenance is not being paid. Why are you stopping wealth creation just because you are emotional about a thing? You cannot do that.
Hmm.
The clause, it doesn't say evict.
Hmm.
It says that if they do not leave peacefully, right, then via court order you evict them,
Hmm.
right? The idea is if 5 of us are there in bidding for that society and if one of us or you get that 55% majority, let's say 51% majority, it basically means that the project is over. That means I cannot then go in and start influencing and say, Sunna, tum 4 jan idhar shift ho jao. It's done, dusted, voted, cast, clear.
Hmm.
So now you have that control on the project and development will happen. So it's a very pro-development circular.
So you're saying we do not require policies or regulations when it comes to redevelopment societies?
No, we do, and we have policies on regular. Like that
Hmm.
51% is a great policy move.
Yeah.
But as CREDA, MCH or NAREDCO or as even the government
Hmm.
cannot say कि तुम redevelopment में से 25% दो. Because means आप 25% दो बोलते हो तो आप किसी का नुकसान कर रहे हो और किसी का फायदा कर रहे हो, राइट? आप उसको रिवर्स कर दो कि 100% दे दो तो किसी का फायदा हो रहा है पर किसी और का नुकसान हो रहा है, राइट? इन बिजनेस दे कैन नॉट कैप कि मैं क्या चीज कितने में बेचूं, दे कैन ओनली से कि आप जो भी करो एथिकली करो.
Is it happening ethically? Why my question comes in, because when you talk to these societies, they say even when the developer approaches them, they're also bad mouthing about the other developer, right? So the
That's
communication.
human nature, no, Kritika. No.
Hmm.
Somebody told
Hmm.
me in a very funny gesture and way, saying that, Shamal, you know what is the biggest parallel with real estate and Bollywood?
Hmm.
I said, no, means my answer is going to be stupid, so you give me yours because you have something better. He said that in Bollywood also you hug and kiss your enemy, right? You do the same thing in real estate. I never believed him. I laughed it off, saying, buddy, I've got a lot of friends in real estate. We are great friends, great pals, great buddies. He's like,
Hmm.
you're starting out on your own, aren't you? And yeah. It's like you get out of that banner of Raunak Group that you've been working under,
Hmm.
you'll realize what I'm talking about. छोड़ना यार, तू मस्ती कर रहा है.
Hmm.
It is true.
So you're saying slandering the developer only, your own acquaintance, is the way to go ahead?
It is not. I'm not saying it is the way to go. I'm saying it is happening.
It is happening. I mean, we see more of this happening in redevelopment societies, right?
Yeah, because lot of people,
Hmm.
lot of hype, very few society. You don't see it in open land because in open land money talks,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
You gotta put your money where your mouth is.
True.
It's very clear.
Hmm.
In redevelopment, it's a shot in the dark. लगा तो लग गया, तब देखेंगे आज कितना डालना है. I cannot do that in Thana. Beyond a point, if I were to buy a piece of land outskirts or wherever, even in Bombay city,
Hmm.
beyond a point I can't outbid you because the money in the bank that I have is what I will have to produce in a next number of days.
Yeah.
Right? So I cannot do masti में saying 200 crore
Hmm.
when the reserve price is 100. Because अगर मैं जीत गया तो बैंक बोलेगी चल भर, right? या वो लैंडलॉर्ड बोलेगा चल भर, फिर क्या करें? Then I cannot backtrack. In a society, if I want to spoil the game for you, I'm at 36, you're at 39. मैं मस्ती में अगर 40 कर दूं और आप डेस्परेट हो और मुझे मालूम है आप डेस्परेट हो तो आप 41 करोगे तो फिर आपका नुकसान किया ना. Again, it's business 101, right? Is it a good thing or a bad thing? It depends on person to person. Is it something that you can stop? No. Is it something that you should be aware of? Yeah, I think you deal with it. This is life. Blood is thicker than water. Everything else is just hearsay. We developers are like Bollywood guys. We'll hug and kiss you during award functions. There are very, very few bonds that do remain. I have some really great friends in the fraternity. But you now come to know who your friends and foes are. Because it is capitalism at the end of the day. Everybody wants to make money. And everybody wants to make money now. Right? It is your appetite versus mine, your risk taking versus mine. So it should not happen, but means you can't put a law and Creda or Naredco can't come up with a law and say किसी ने ये कर दिया तो तुमको बैन कर देंगे because you're not in school, boss. School में वो principal knuckles पे मारती थी. Hey, how do you say that? We were taught certain manners. When you're in the outside world,
True. Nice. The one feature every home should have.
mean as a developer to,
Yeah.
I think IoT, home automation.
Okay.
I think it's we are at the cusp of something great with that. So IoT.
Top real estate trend you're currently excited about.
Flexi homes,
Nice.
where you build it in a way where it's not compulsory, where you're restricted one bathroom being on top of the other, one kitchen being on top of the other, all four bedrooms. I think that is something which will really reshape luxury housing, flexi homes.
When you can afford a ultra luxury homes, you mean?
Yes, but it's not about that same concept
Hmm.
applies to affordable. Like we've done that, luck by chance in Raunak Centrum, right? It was a commercial building which, in the peak of pandemic, we built it, we stopped. We took a quick decision saying pandemic चल रहा है इसको residential में convert कर देते हैं. We quickly got our approvals in residential, launched it, and it became flexi homes, right? Because flat slab से बनाया गया था, electrical सब कुछ हो गया था. फिर हमने 2-3 बेडरूम्स के फ्लैट्स फिट किए.
Hmm.
I could sell the whole floor as one apartment, 3 flats as one apartment, 2 flats as one apartment.
Hmm.
So it worked even for that 1 crore 27 lakh rupee home,
Hmm.
which is affordable right in the heart of Sion,
Hmm.
to an ultra luxury home. ये लक बाय चांस हो गया, पर अगर ये प्री प्लान किया रहता,
Hmm.
कुछ भी हो सकता है, राइट? सो आई
True.
थिंक दैट इज द फ्यूचर ऑफ रियल एस्टेट.
Okay. So, favorite real estate project you have worked on?
It has to be then my first one, Raunak City, because that was the first project where I was involved in terms of everything from acquisition stage till which where it is reached today. I have seen it grow in front of me. Right, it's been my first child, baby.
Hmm.
So I think Raunak City is pretty close to my heart.
Nice. Dream collaboration in the real estate industry if you want to do in future.
With a fellow developer,
Yeah,
or
fellow developer.
there are two guys that I really look up to with the way they work and their stuff or they
Hmm.
build. One obviously has to be Baman Irani, Rustamji, and the other is Vikas Oberoi. I think these two are up there. Baman sir obviously knows how big a fan I am of him.
Hmm.
Never met Vikas one on one, but yeah,
Hmm.
he's one of there up there.
Great. Most challenging aspect of being a developer.
Um as my wife would say that
Hmm.
I make fake promises to her कि थोड़ा और टाइम और सब ठीक हो जाएगा. She's like, when does that time come? Because there's always a new challenge, there's always a new stress, there's always a new pressure.
Hmm.
Uh, it's fun, it's exciting, it's thrilling,
Hmm.
but it's not a flat line, which is a great thing. But it is not कि हाँ बस 3 और साल में मैं सब सेटअप कर दूंगा, नहीं होता
Yeah.
है.
Yeah.
So that would be something which is challenging.
So, biggest challenge in Mumbai real estate market, if you had to name three.
Time management, one, as a developer, because you have only that many number of hours, societies want to meet at that particular time. So that's one big challenge that you face.
Yeah.
Approvals, uh, I think we, with the amount of work that is happening, we need that single window, quick approvals online.
Hmm.
um, and finance, if you really need that affordability or prices to come down, I think the cost of capital has to reduce.
Yeah.
Right? Means the more that gets built at a lower interest rate, the more gets passed on to the consumers. So yeah.
True. One word to describe the future of real estate in Mumbai.
I means my father told me recently, he's like, Shamal, I've never seen a run like this.
Hmm.
Uh, I think we are at the cusp of something really magical and amazing. The wealth creation that will happen over the
Yeah.
next decade or so,
Hmm.
in and out of real estate, is going to be really, really fascinating to see. You're at that cusp overall where the next decade belongs to, I think, real estate. I think the next decade is. Means I don't want to jinx it or curse it, but yeah.
Hmm. Your vision for the future of the real estate industry.
If our infrastructure reaches the peak that we've been witnessing over the past,
Hmm.
I think we'll have a skyline that can be envious to name the major cities of the world. We might not be at that Dubai scale because it. I think Dubai is different.
Yeah.
But you will beat your New Yorks, you'll beat your Londons, you'll beat those because we
True.
are getting there. I think you can see that whole lower parallel belt.
Yeah.
Now that it's developed and you drive through that ceiling,
Yeah.
you feel that, yeah, man, this is, it's
Hmm.
there. Earlier you used to not really look at it and feel it,
Hmm.
but that side of the ceiling is developed. I think the car band, the Santa Cruz side, uh, what was built and done, forget it, we can't do
Hmm.
anything about it. But the newer buildings coming up, I think they are being developed really, really smartly. I think a lot of insight is going in, a lot of money is being spent on the building to look good. So yeah, I think yeah.
So, if you had to describe your leadership style in three
Mine,
words, yeah.
I'm a very casual leader who lets go a lot of things,
Hmm.
in the sense that I am okay to delegate and ensure that it gets, you do it.
Hmm.
Delegation was never my forte
Hmm.
because I used to micromanage a lot when I was Ronak. Over
Mm.
the last 6 months, it's been a crash course in delegation where I have to start trusting people.
Mm.
So yeah, I am, I think, overtly trusty
Mm.
as a leader. Delegation comes with trust, and I'm very very casual. I'm thoda means I'm trying to be the kind of boss that I would want if, let's say, I was in mergers and acquisition, where you trust your team and
Mm.
hope that they do a great job, and your job should just be to, what do you say, course correct, or yeah, course correct if they've done something wrong.
So, talking
So
about team, if three things you had to have in your checklist is a must when you're hiring the talent pool for your company, what would it be?
honesty, hunger, integrity,
Nice.
and then not just towards me, right?
Mm.
Why did I say honesty, hunger, integrity? Is my team. I have a couple of people in my team that I'm building. Um, they have that honesty towards coming up and telling me that, you know what, boss,
Mm.
ये जो आपने किया ना गलत किया, right? That's the honesty that I'm also looking at. I'm not just looking at honesty towards
So, open to
the
feedback.
customer, right?
Mm.
Because that has to be honest. Because I'm in a field where, boss, you have to be honest and transparent. But I
Mm.
want them to be honest with me, right? Because, dude, under pressure, we all make stupid mistakes. We all
Yeah.
lose our cool, right?
Mm.
You need to have a couple of guys in your team who,
Gives you reality check.
yeah, I mean, I'm going to use a very weird word and a curse
Mm.
word, but yeah, who come back up to you at the right time after everything is done and
Mm.
say, you know what, sir, 2 minute बाजू में बैठे, and then say, all great, but वो नहीं करना चाहिए था, right?
Mm.
And that is needed. If I have to grow, if my company has to grow, if we all have to grow,
Mm.
you need those kind of people around you, because there is a dime a dozen yes men and yes women,
Mm.
but you need somebody to show you the mirror at times and say, boss, thoda.
So that's quite new and interesting because I've heard very few developers open to feedback.
uh, I joke with a very very dear friend of mine,
Mm.
uh, Binita Dalal. You know her well. Uh, she keeps on abusing me a lot, saying you need to step up, you need to be
Mm.
that
Mm.
developer, you are now there. And I
Mm.
was like, you know what, Vince, I don't think I'm a developer, right? Because
Mm.
uh, I am a developer, yes, but I've always called myself a salesman, because in Ronak, that's what I was, right?
Mm.
I was the salesman.
Mm.
I am stepping into the role of a developer now, where everything runs through me and I am that node.
Mm.
But ठीक है यार, means you win some, you lose some. So I am weirdly, I'm very fierce, but I'm very content, right?
Mm.
Which is thoda, it takes a while. I'm like that train. It takes a while for me to get that steam. But if I'm there, then साला कुछ भी बीच में आ जाए, we'll figure it out, right? So risky situation.
Interesting. So, if you weren't in real estate, what profession would you be in?
Oh, definitely mergers and acquisition.
Okay.
I I love it so much that I hate it, right?
Mm.
I hate to admit the fact, but I love challenges. I love that money, right?
Mm.
Um, it's not what it's not money as Uncle Scrooge money,
Yeah.
but it's that art fact of making money, right? Which is really really interesting.
Mm.
So I think mergers and acquisition is, it's, I think it's completely, it's an 18-hour work week, or sorry,
Mm.
work day, but at the end of it, right, it's creating something big, beautiful, and nice.
Mm.
So if I wasn't a builder, I would definitely do mergers and acquisitions, and after that, I would retire very quickly and just start my own restaurant, because I think I cannot. It's like burning the candle at both ends. So
Mm.
eventually, that's food and beverages where I think I will settle down peacefully in life.
So, when it comes to real estate, what was the best advice that you have ever received, which you still follow, and the worst advice that you don't follow, but when you look upon, you chuckle about it?
The best advice, honestly, has to be what Rajan uncle gave me once.
Mm.
He's like, and it's not advice. I think it was more on a life lesson, because I was new, right? I was 21. You suddenly come into the hot seat. where people look up to you to take a decision and you're scared कि यार गलत हो गया तो क्या हो सकता है,
Yeah.
right? I don't think he ever remembers, but it was a very casual conversation and he said, क्या कर रहा है? नहीं यार अंकल वो गलत हो गया तो ठीक है ना, गलत हो गया तेरे को मालूम पड़ गया गलत हो गया तो सुधार लेने का ना, उसमें इतना चिंता क्या करता है? तो अगर डिसीजन लेगा ही नहीं तो सुधारेगा कैसे? And that's one thing that stuck by me, right? Like we used to joke about how in the Bollywood movies the actor is waiting with a gun on top of the villain and never shooting him. Dialogue बाजी होती है, फिर वो विलन कुछ और करता है, कोई और मरता है, फिर वो विलन को गोली मारता है. पर जेम्स बॉन्ड पहले गोली मार देता है, right? So that was that advice. Was shoot first, we'll figure it out later. गलती हो गई, मालूम पड़ गया गलती हो गई, course corrected. But if you don't dive in and take that decision, you'll never know if it was right or wrong. And I just started prepping myself by saying, boss, right or wrong, all decisions are great. एक बार ले लेंगे फिर देखा जाएगा.
And the worst advice
I don't think
you have ever received?
all advices help you. I
Hmm.
think good, bad, ugly, all advices help you. So yeah, the two, one was obviously Rajan uncle, and the other one that my father gave because we are in a partnership firm. He said, "I am not your boss, right? You don't need to convince me. You need to convince Rajan uncle when you go there, right? Because it's a partnership. It's how marriage works. I was too young to realize that then, but now I understand what he said, and he said, even though I am your father, you don't need to convince me. You need to convince him to take that decision, right? And those two advices where you look out for your partner,
Yeah.
in life, in business. He meant it in business, but it also means in life, where that synergy comes into play, right? And what Rajan uncle said was, if you don't take a decision, right, you will never realize whether it's right or wrong. He never meant it that jump in the pool if you don't know swimming. He meant that if you know swimming, you will never realize the depth of the pool if you don't jump in, right? So these two were, I think, the two great advices that I've received, and I was very lucky to get them early on, which helped me shape the career that I have had. So yeah.
Both are great advices. Coming to our next questions, if you could have dinner with any real estate industry figure, living or historical, who would it be?
I have a few on my mind. I would not do one.
But if you had to name one,
I can't do one because the thing is I did not get educated in this field of an MBA or whatever, right? My education was on the job. I joined in at 21. I did my BMS and I was pushed into the field. MBA करना था 2008 हो गया, MBA नहीं किया, right? So then I looked up to these key real estate figures and said यार उसने क्या सोच के लिया रहेगा. One of them obviously being Dr. Niranjan Hiranandani. यार उस जमाने में साला पवे कौन जाता था, या उस जमाने में गोडबंदर रोड के उस एंड पे 300 एकड़ कौन लेता था यार. लाइक आदमी ने क्या सोचा, क्या देखा, क्या किया कि हाउ डू यू पिक दैट ब्रेन, राइट? बामन ईरानी, हाउ डू यू पिक दैट ब्रेन? Because what was your vision where you did what you did, right? Abhishek Lodha, right? Dude, you basically commercialized real estate. You made it into an FMCG product where it was supposed to be a closed, guarded, secret. इतना ही बिकता है, ऐसे ही होता है.
yeah,
He said, boss, घर है, बिकता है. It's like not like soap, but he really sold real estate, right? You can't come to my office, I'll come to yours, right? These are fascinating brains. Vikas Oberoi, the way he functions, I've heard of a couple of stories where people want him to do a project. He's gone on and met those people and they said, sir, aap kar lo. There are guys who offered that same society 100 rupees, right? They're saying, sir, if you do it, we'll do it for 80 bucks. He's gone in and told them that no, it only makes sense to me at 71 because my time is this valuable in the product that I create. Who does that? In real estate, if somebody were to come to me and saying, आपके competition ने दे दिया, आप 10% कम दो, मैं करता हूँ, it's a blind dive. But look at the insight that that fellow has with the team that he's built around or he himself to say, boss, मैं इससे अच्छा इधर कैपिटल डालूं तो मैं 3 बार और घुमा पाऊंगा, right? So these 3-4 guys are really great because I have seen them work closely. I'm sure Shobha is doing brilliant. Irfan Bhai is doing great. Never really followed their work because these were all outside of Bombay, right?
yeah,
This was my domain when I entered real estate. I saw Lodha
Yeah.
doing what Abhishek Lodha did and Abhinandan did.
Mm.
I saw Niranjan uncle when I went and saw my first land in Godbanda Road, and somebody said, वो उधर जमीन दिखती है वो हिरानंदानी की है. बोला, मेरा रोड नहीं बना, वो कब बनेगा? And but he bought it there,
Yeah.
right? I have seen Baman uncle sir grow from, right, as a first generation guy, following his passion, his own business, moving to real estate at that age, going back to his passion. Dude, how do you flip like that? How do you become an industrialist and a developer and an industrialist again?
Yeah.
Right? Fascinating. So I would love to have that conversation with a couple of them and be like, boss, I've got 20 years ahead of me. What do I do?
Nice. So, what is the motto or the mantra you live by, which you execute in your professional and personal life as well?
Honestly, it's live and let live now.
Hmm.
I think my kids and COVID had that thing in me,
Hmm.
where I was like, "ठीक है यार, रात गई बात गई, live and let live." Because it changed. COVID, in whatever way, did change me.
Hmm.
My kids changed me a lot more. I love my work. I'm a
Hmm.
workaholic. My wife will vouch for it. Uh, but I love my family that much now.
Hmm.
And I want that extra hour with my family, my kids, or whatever it is.
Hmm.
So hence, I was like, "Okay, too much is happening. Live and let live. और जिसको जो करना है करने दे. मैं यहाँ पे मेरे bubble में खुश हूँ." Right? So
Nice. So, what's next for Elements Reality in a single sentence?
watch out. We are coming. As
Nice.
simple as that.
So, do you have a favorite spot in Mumbai to unwind?
I used to play a lot of cricket. I
Hmm.
stopped. Now the favorite sport, I hate to admit it,
Hmm.
it's my PlayStation. I'll be rude. Like what I could not play on the football
Hmm.
field, I play on FIFA. First person shooter, strategy game. I
Hmm.
love it. I think, uh, yeah, if I have to unwind,
Hmm.
I hook up my PlayStation. Life is good.
And if you have to name a book which has deeply impacted you in your, especially in your professional life, which one would it be and why?
The Godfather. I think it's one of the most underrated books.
Hmm. Okay, why?
Uh, it teaches you a lot about management and life,
Hmm.
which I think I love it. I love that book. I mean, it teaches you a lot.
Hmm.
If you read it with that perspective, it does teach you a lot. I don't know. I chanced upon a link long back which said the correlation between the Godfather and management, and I went back. I reread the book. I said,
Hmm.
"हाँ यार." Means,
One.
the first Godfather.
Okay.
The second and third, as movies was great. Al Pacino,
Yeah, yeah.
Die Hard fan, but Marlon Brando, first Godfather movie and the book.
I agree.
Oh,
Yeah.
I think hands down.
So, according to you, how would you define luxury?
For me personally, it would be time. Having enough where time is more valuable than anything else, right? In real estate, it would be space. I don't think rate per square feet matters. I think it's the space that matters,
Hmm.
right? Obviously, views and everything comes with it, but it's not a four bedroom. It's the square footage that matters. I
Hmm.
think in real estate we get it wrong.
Hmm.
It should be a square feet that is sold and not four bedroom of 2,000 square feet. Sir, we are giving you a 2,000 square foot space, which is 12-foot height. You make it what you can make it a studio, right?
Hmm.
So I think space is luxury.
Nice. And lastly, what's an essential habit you believe contribute to success?
There are a few. One of is it discipline. I think good days, bad days, worse days.
Hmm.
You should have the discipline to get up the next day, go to work as if nothing's happened,
Hmm.
and learn from that mistake and redo it. I think discipline is the biggest key to whatever you want to achieve. Yeah, discipline.
So now we have come to end to our interview. Thank you so much, Shamal, for
Super.
joining us today.
Thank you so
It
much.
was lovely knowing about Elements Reality, and I wish you all the great luck. And I'm
Thank you.
sure next 4 or 5 years we'll meet again to know there have been more societies that have been added, and we look
Thank
forward
you
to
so
your
much.
success.
Thank you so much. A pleasure.
Thank you.